Holy shit.
Report.
I'm just going to go toilet quickly, all right? Welcome to Their Side, the series that delves into the lives of skateboarders past and present. It's proudly brought to you by the director, Aaron Maguire, who's the Harvey Weinstein of the skate world. Also have Connor and Tim on the helping with the technical support and on the cameras, so thank you for all that. This episode's a doozy of one. It's with a good friend, Luke Foster. Everyone knows Luke, and we've also got Andrew Davidson here. So Davo, who's been a good mate and a Vermont local for years. So without any more babbling, let's should we get into it?
Let's get into it.
All right. Welcome, Luke.
Thank you.
G'day, Davo.
G'day.
Yeah. Tell us a bit. Just let's start off right from the start, Luke. Just tell us about your early life, where you grew up, and you know, school, stuff like that. You know.
Yeah. Well, I like to think of myself as sort of a white, suburban, privileged, almost punk, a bit like the Repo Man
Right.
kind of guy out of the Repo Man. But yeah, so grew up in Waverley, in the leafy green suburbs of Melbourne. Hazel's my mum, Jack's my dad. I had an older sister, Camilla,
Yep.
younger brother, Martin.
Where were you born? Where
I was born in Paran,
Okay.
actually,
Yeah.
down sort of opposite the Alfred there.
Yep.
I didn't know that. So you were secretly a Paran guy, not a Vermont guy
Yeah,
the
I
whole time.
Yeah, yeah, quite proud.
Okay. Very good. And like in your early years, like you know, what schools did you go to and stuff like that? Where'd you start your education and things like that?
Yeah, went to Glendale Primary along with Davo also. Wasn't the smartest kid, but and so I sort of said, oh, you're going to go to the Sindel Tech School, not the high school, which was right next door. I was like, oh yeah, whatever, okay. So I went to Sindel Tech.
And did you go to Sindel Tech as well, Davo?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he was probably
Same.
a bit smarter, but anyway.
Same thing though. You know. You've always got a trade to fall back on.
Yep.
Yeah,
And I did.
yeah. Did that. What did I do? And then got an apprenticeship pretty much straight out of school. Got a plumber. I was pretty stoked to get a plumber apprenticeship because I was a bit worried about what I was going to do. And it's like, oh, I don't have to think about it for the next 4 years now.
Yep.
I'm going to do an apprenticeship.
You worked at the butcher shop too. Don't forget that.
I did.
Okay. And what were you doing at the butcher shop?
Just washing dishes and
Okay.
stuff like
yeah.
that.
I had a big
Making
spell of that
gunpowder.
myself. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think
Yeah, it's cool.
it was a rite of passage, wasn't it, at that stage?
Yeah, and so when I was working at the butcher shop, I would have been probably started skateboarding around about that time.
Yep.
Yeah, and
And how did you get into skateboarding initially? Like, did you do any sports beforehand? Like, were you, you know?
I played footy for
Yep.
Glen Waverley Hawks.
Yep.
You know,
You're a pretty good footy
under whatever's. Yeah, I could run. Don't ask me to kick the ball very straight or far. I think I kicked one goal the whole time I was playing, but I could run and get the ball. I could mark. I could shepherd.
And what sort of position were you playing in football?
Sort of back pocket to up to centre.
Okay.
Not much more closer to the goal square than that.
Yeah. And did you enjoy like the structured football sort of thing, or was that the reason you sort of got away from?
No, I loved it. I loved being in part of a team.
Yep.
Yeah, still do.
Yeah, I reckon it's good too. Yeah. So, yeah. And what you did, like, you obviously met Davo at school.
Yeah.
And
Were we
some of your
skating at
earliest
primary school? I don't think so.
No, I think it was early high school.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what year you started skate?
Is it 83-ish? 84? Could be 82. I don't know.
And did you or Davo start skating first?
Oh, Davo and my brother Martin were skating, and
Okay.
I think I was going to probably be a bogan, and probably some people might say I still am a bogan, but I was, saving up to get a Nissan TRX
Yep.
from my paper round money.
Yeah, right.
I was going to do, that, and then this skateboarding thing came along. Davo said, "Oh, here, use this skateboard," and we just cruised around the court.
Okay, and what was the board that you gave him, Davo, initially?
Oh,
Banana board.
Yeah, those like fiberglass. Yeah, 70s or late 70s boards, I suppose. Yeah, we were watching Wide World of Sports or something, and there was some surfing on it.
Yep.
And thought, oh, that looks pretty cool. And me and Martin dusted off the old boards out of the garage and just started kind of cruising around the court. And then you must have been a day or two behind. And
Is that all?
That's cool. And was it mainly just straight at that stage, like just?
Oh, we weren't even aware that there was vert or.
Okay, so it was just cruising around on a board.
Yeah, just purely for fun and making out. Yeah.
Okay, and what year did you reckon that you guys sort of, would consider yourself like actually getting into the skateboarding sort of seriously sort of thing?
I think we just got on the skateboards and started skateboarding every day, pretty much right from the start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think whether we were on what boards we were riding, but we were just skating every day and we just kept on progressing.
Okay, and how long did it take to sort of progress to, say, what you do now, like transition skating, sort of bowl and ramp and sort of thing was?
Sort of went like that.
Yeah.
There was a bike velodrome in East Burwood.
Yep.
And we used to ride our bikes when we were younger, so we went up.
The
there
one that's still there now, or?
Still there,
so, yeah.
still there.
Yep. And we went up there, started skating on that, on the big banks, and then, we were talking about this before, there's some dunny roofs, the toilet roofs that are kind of banked on either side. And
legendary spot, yeah.
Yeah, and one day we were skating the velodrome and these surf skate guys turned up and we just blew our minds.
Okay.
They were insane.
What sort of stuff were they doing back then? Like we were talking about it beforehand, and like.
I can't remember exactly the stuff, but they were just really loose and wild, and it was just what they were doing and how they were doing it, and the atmosphere around it was just like, holy, like what is this? This is crazy. This is wild. And
yeah, it went from like we were carving and stuff, and then it was aggressive and energetic, and it was like shit. I remember seeing a guy do a little hand plant, and
oh wow,
yeah.
I didn't know what that was. Fuck, what was that?
Yeah.
Can we swear on here? Or?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And like from that, did you obviously skated the Dunny Rouge yourselves?
Yeah. So we started trying to skate it, I guess. Yeah.
And where would be like the next sort of places that like a transition that did you go to? Was it somewhere like Bulleen or Dufton?
It was Bulleen.
Nunawading Pipes first.
Oh, was it? Yeah.
Yep.
That was hard to
those
skate.
Guys told us where to buy bigger skateboards.
Yeah.
A few shops around there because we didn't really know they existed or where to get them, and then
up at Pinewood, was it? Or no, the other direction.
Forest Hill
Forest Hill
shop or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Reflex boards. Or
something.
Yep.
Yeah. Big fat fluoro wheels and everything. Like, we just really didn't have any idea that stuff was around, and
because they would have had big boards.
Yeah.
They were like
the whole
completely
thing.
different equipment than what we had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And was that sort of was a reflex board one of your first ones, or?
I don't think I ever got a reflex board, but you and Martin did.
Yeah, I think I had a reflex.
Yeah.
And then you just component by component, whatever you could afford, you just have some Kryptonics wheels and stuff. They were pretty good.
Yeah. And how was the progression, like from like Nunawading Pipes to? I know we talked earlier about sort of Melton and Morty and all that. Like obviously that's a little bit.
I reckon
down the track.
we spent a lot of time at Bulleen.
Yeah.
Bulleen Bowl, and I was still on a skinny board when riding Bulleen, and I wasn't even kick turning. It was just backside carve, front side carve, all the way down to the bottom, and then back up again and do another loop. I think just constantly backwards and forwards all day, as long as they'd let us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I remember myself cutting loops of that, and you know, as a young kid, you were so excited. You were running, like you're sprinting back up to the hill. Like.
Of course. Yeah.
So that was amazing fun. But yeah. So and then from there, like, where did we talked to Morty. Was there like a transitional stage?
There was a big bit of Doveton, wasn't there? We went from...
next was Doveton.
Yep.
And Ringwood a few times.
A little bit, yeah.
Not so much Ringwood.
I don't know why we kept going to Doveton instead of Ringwood. But...
Was it, did we know Warwick and all the other Sindel Tech skaters, which were a year above us, did they go to Doveton? Is that why we went
started
more?
to. Yeah, we used to go by ourselves with Dad would drive us.
Yeah.
So,
And anyone that hasn't skated Doveton, could you explain the transitions and the... Was it
which
smooth?
part do you want to know
Yeah,
about?
was it smooth? Was it kinked? Was it...
Well, I used to always said the bowl was better. No, the half
pipe
pipe
was better at Doveton and the bowl was
That's
better
right.
at Ring.
Yeah,
If you
definitely.
combine the two, it would have been perfect. But
Yeah.
one side was pass vert and one side wasn't vert, and the
which
metal
probably wasn't
tray
a
over-
problem for us at the time
No.
because we weren't doing airs or anything.
No, it was really rough, and more often than not, the plate and the drain at the bottom was either missing, or so you had to dodge
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I was much more comfortable in Doveton. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about...
a bit of respect for BMXs too?
oh,
Kids
absolutely.
out there that were.
Well, they were ripping more than we
Yeah.
were. One time at Doveton, a busload, remember a minibus turned up with I think Tony Hallam and Posnut, the Perfect
Yeah.
Transition guys, and Norm was doing hand plants in the half pipe.
Oh,
like
that was
halfway
Woody's
up.
mate, wasn't it, Norm?
Yeah. I really like Norm, like
Yeah.
from a distance. I never really knew him, but he was kind of happy and enjoying himself. And
Yep.
yeah,
Okay.
but
and-
that was cool. Just throughout skating, there's like these times where these other people would turn up that were inspirational
yeah.
for us.
Yeah, because we didn't join a scene and start skating at the start. It just kind of happened. So when we were exposed to new people and people that are really good, it was mind blowing.
And who was going at that stage? Was it just you and Davo, or your brother as well? Or
Yeah, all three of us. Yeah.
yeah. And it was obviously a bit later on when you met more skaters, or did you, like the Castles and Mick Sanders and all that sort of.
Oh, that was later.
Okay, fair enough.
Went from, I think, Bo Morris
Yeah.
opened up, and that's when we got exposed to a whole bunch of new people. And then
Was that the first ramp that you guys skated?
You would have been for sure.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And, yeah, and maybe around the same time, this quarter pipe turned up down next to the Willow shops.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, which is half the.
And
Backyard
who
ramp.
did that belong to?
Well, was it Andre Rokas and the
The Bogans.
Bogan tough dudes.
Okay.
To the 13-year-old kids that we were.
And were they skating on it or
They were skating. Someone was doing a rock and roll on it.
I reckon that might have been Andre Rokas. Yeah.
Yeah, that was another thing. Wow, this dude went right up to the top of the ramp and rock and rolled it, and yeah, so I reckon we would have had a go of it. But
Yeah, we skated, yeah.
Yeah.
And they wheel it back behind the fish and chip shop each night. You had it in the laneway around the milk bar, and
That's awesome.
they'd wheel it back around, and I think the fish and chip shop guy let them keep it there.
Yeah. Do you have any you said about Bo Morris. I think we saw a photo before
yeah,
of Bo Morris and stuff like that. But
get it out.
or do you have any of the quarter pipe before that, like the Rogus quarter pipe, the one from Willow? Nothing like that.
But it ended
Nah.
up being half of a half pipe we had in our backyard in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, it went to Warwick Brown's house
Yeah.
first,
Okay.
which was sort of I don't know, a kilometre away. You guys took it there, didn't you? How did you get it there? Did you wheel it in the middle of the night or something?
We got it back from, eventually
Oh.
Warwick couldn't have it in his backyard anymore, so Dad said that we have it in our backyard. And so we, I thought you were involved, but we pulled it apart and then got up at 3 or 4 in the morning and
Yeah.
put it on wheels and wheeled it through the streets of Glen Waverley to our place. We had no other way of getting it there.
And
So.
how long a distance was it, like to?
Oh,
2 kilometres, maybe.
maybe about that, yeah.
That's
Get away from me a bit down the hills and stuff like that. We're going to lose it. But
Yeah.
we got it there in the end. And, yeah.
That's amazing. Like
Then
2
you're-
kilometres rolling a ramp around the streets.
Yeah, it was already a good ramp, and then your dad did an amazing job of building good platforms on it, and
Only because he didn't want it to look shit in the backyard, so he
well,
decked it out a bit. So.
and then instead of plywood, he put like 3mm steel over the top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was obviously the start of Davo's half pipe, like the
Yeah.
first incarnation. Like,
Yeah.
Before that, there was Morty Alec was probably our
yeah,
thing.
yeah. But we used to go down to Bow Morris quite a lot.
Yeah.
Do you have any? You showed some photos before, and there were some pretty incredible ones.
Yeah, got
Got
some
any
awesome
ones that we could have a quick look at, Luke?
Yeah, sure. But Bow Morris, I remember we couldn't drop in there because we probably mainly because we had power pivots on the back of our boards.
The old Edwards ones.
And yeah, and it made it.
They're the ones that you flip around, you get twice
Yeah,
the value.
yeah, that's
Yeah, and you know, was you know, so
So
well,
there we
I
go.
got a whole bunch of these Bow Morris photos. This is a Bow Morris competition
Okay.
that we went to.
And who do you see on the platforms and stuff like back in that day?
Yeah, well, there's lots of photos of Chris Payne here.
Okay. I'll hold a few up.
Classic. Chris Payne to me, lean air at Bow Morris. It was pretty exciting. And then you got a photo like this. I'm not sure who's doing the hand plant, but there's Johnny McGrath in the background there, and Bruce Fairley.
There somewhere.
And I think it might even be John McAllister.
Okay, yeah. Johnny Mac.
Paddy McAllister was, with his big hair, was emceeing.
Was that Shred Threads, or that was more happened down at
Yeah,
Morty, I think
that
it
might have come later.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I was, and there's Bernie McAllister and Johnny on the platform.
Bernie had some incredible eggplants back then, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah. So that was a rad thing, and a lot of layback photos. Everyone did layback airs.
no one did him like Johnny McGrath though.
Nah, they were amazing.
Yeah, the full roll around ones.
Looked like a Phillips 66 sort of.
Yeah.
Well, it's the opposite of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or the way out.
Yeah, would be the
half
way
of
out,
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Bow Morris was the first half pipe, and then did Morty come first, or Warwick's ramp, or anyway, it was about similar kind of time.
And was Warwick's ramp sort of a similar dimension to Bow Morris, or was it?
One side was probably exactly the same, the small side, and the other side, the quarter pipe from the Willow shops, was a bigger transition.
Okay.
Yeah, but we never really did tricks up there.
Too.
Was it?
It was tighter at the bottom and bigger at the top.
Yeah, it was kind of like piece of wood, another piece of wood, another piece of wood, but then plywooded over the top so it's smooth. But
that old school way of building the ramps, eh?
Yeah. But the other side was rolled steel transitions.
Yeah, it's a Warwick. His dad was an engineer or something.
Yeah, that was a good job.
But it was tight.
Yeah.
And was it around that time that your ramp got built, Davo? Or was it sort of in the quarter pipe time still?
That was the same ramp. We just moved it.
So we went from the Willow shops to Warwick's house.
Yep.
Into a half pipe, and then from there to our house.
Oh, okay, cool. And how long did you actually have your ramp at your house for?
Oh, maybe a couple of years. It sat dormant for a while. We were skating, and then Morty took off, I think.
Yeah.
So we were down there a lot. Chose one day to wag school. We never wagged school before. And down there skating, and then look up, and Luke's dad pulls up in the car park. Oh, shit.
What's Dad doing here?
Shouldn't he be at work? Morty was awesome. It was a hotbed of. I remember seeing Utter Stench play.
Yeah.
At the cricket club there and everything, and Gary Valentine and
he was blazing.
Yeah, Chris Payne, rest his soul. It was awesome. That was, I think, when we really.
And was like
really took off.
You mentioned like the Bow Morris comp, and that were they the first comps that you've seen, or did you actually enter them, or?
We didn't enter the Bow Morris comp. First probably comp I ever went to. Was there a rat squeezed in around that time, maybe before even, or something? There was the Moomba Ramp Jam.
Oh yeah.
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 That was like a demo or something, maybe, or something. We went there and watched them.
Yeah, Johnny McGrath was trying 540s, blown away. But
Johnny,
the
Borgie,
Big M, Kmart, East Burwood Street comp.
I was going to mention that because
I don't know when that was.
Well, I reckon that was around the time Future Primitive came out, because I was trying to do. I entered that comp. I always entered the comps.
Yeah.
If they'd let me.
Yeah, you did pretty well in that.
I remember seeing the poster in your room for that.
Yeah.
And I always thought that looked super cool, and you always told me about the car being in there, and I was like,
yeah. So Future Primitive had just come out, and it was like cars it's all about jumping on cars.
Yeah.
So yeah, skate comp had
Yeah.
a car there.
And that was part of a series, wasn't it?
Yeah, your dad took us to all of them.
Yeah.
Or
The
at
only
least we
one.
went out to the Footscray one as well.
Yeah.
So your dad had driving duties quite a bit back then.
Yeah, he
don't
liked it. I think he quite liked skateboarding there, but he'd drive us there and he'd put the footy on in the car and read the paper and get out of the house for a couple of hours. So
That's awesome.
yeah, he was good like that. He was good with the ramp in the backyard. So
Yeah. And then were you going in those comps as well, Davo?
yeah, every time I hear that Sigsy Sputnik song,
Shoot it up or whatever it is.
yeah, it reminds me how shit I went in the competition.
Was that
Just
playing
got
at
really
the time?
nervous and
Oh,
yeah, just totally botched everything, you know. Yeah, just little tear forms in my eye when I hear that of shame and
That'll happen.
failure.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And how were you going in those comps, Luke? Like, did you do all right, or was?
I just went in. I just went in the comps no matter what. It was
You did that. You jumped off the roof of the car onto the bonnet.
yeah, and you soon
And everyone went
learn that people like it when you're trying to smash stuff or
Oh yeah.
something like that.
No one else did it, and everyone went bananas when you did it.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
and I would have been just copying what someone else. Well, skateboarding was all about copying
Yeah.
what else you saw other people do. Like I've never done a trick that no one else has ever done in their life. It's just, there's so much stuff out there just to copy,
Yeah.
which is cool.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah.
But it always comes out a different way when people do it.
Yeah, everyone's got their own approach, style.
And I remember, like, as I was saying about the poster, like going to your house and you're part of the, what was it, the Bones Brigade Members Club or something back then? It was like, what was that about?
So at some point there was that first demo in Torquay with all the who's who of skateboarding to me at the time. What was it? Hawk, Hosoi,
like
Gator,
87, 88?
Phillips. Everyone knows that first demo.
Yeah.
Was it an Easter demo?
Yeah, and everyone was on the roof.
The
and
ramp
all that.
ride.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't a ramp riot, it was just a demo.
Yeah.
yeah, it was Stedham and all those.
Yeah.
Gator and
We camped down there, didn't we? You get the tents down and you camped near the ramp.
Possibly. Or
Was that
your
the
dad or my dad just took us down there.
Your dad drove us down.
Yeah,
I've
right.
been falling asleep coming back on the west gate. I think we're going to die.
We didn't die though.
No, I couldn't
still
say
here.
anything. I didn't want to say anything to your dad, like, Mr. Foster, I think you're falling asleep.
Yeah, right.
so with that membership thing that you had, what was that? Was it all
Yeah,
about?
so
I remember you used to get products all the time and bits and pieces.
well, like I was saying, that was completely mind blowing to see. First of all, it was the biggest ramp we'd ever seen. Like it was 10-foot transitions, which got to ride it after the demo, and it was so slow, like the motion of it, from going a 6-foot transition to a 10-foot transition and trying to skate it. And you could talk to all the skaters behind the ramp, and I spoke to Jeff Phillips. I reckon I might have had this board at the time, my first Jeff Phillips board.
Did he sign it?
No, I didn't even bother getting a signature. But I spoke to him and asked, dumb questions. Like I didn't know about ABEC ratings in bearings back then, which I probably would have asked him what if I had known. But it was more like, how many boards do you get
Yeah.
a month? But I remember his answer was along the lines of, like, some people get heaps of stuff and stuff like that, but I don't need it. I need a few, a couple of boards a month or whatever. And
A couple of months.
yeah, which seemed like massive and awesome to me. But I somehow got a sense of, you didn't need to be just take shit if you didn't need it, or whatever. He was one of my favourite
Pretty
skateboarders.
humble guy. And
Yeah, I mean, in that 2-minute grommet talking to his superhero moment.
that's all amazing, isn't it?
And I saw this other guy down the back, which was Stacey Peralta as well, and he was handing, talking to the kids and handing out a little zine that he had, which was the Bones Brigade zine. It had a name for it, the Intelligence Report or something like that.
That's right, yeah.
And in the back of that was a application form to join the Bones Brigade.
Okay.
So I filled it out, went and got a bank check for $25 US, sent it off, and
Money well spent, isn't it?
it was.
Yeah.
And
What's
came-
$25 back then now?
US. Well, yeah, I don't know.
You still got that shirt to this day,
Yeah,
haven't
do you know, bring that cardboard box. So I got my Bones Brigade shirt. I still got there, and I got a little membership card.
That must be a good quality T-shirt. I mean, that
It was
all
a
that
beautiful T-shirt.
skating in that for decades, and it's still
That's the thing. I think if anyone knows who have skated with you, like, would have remembered you many times in that T-shirt, you know, doing tricks and whatever, you know. Like, I've got plenty of photos at home, and I'm like, he's in that yellow top, you know.
Yeah. So yeah. And I got my membership card, and you get a report or a zine, and you get 3 stickers, and they just come in the post.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was once a month or once every quarter or whatever, but you just get a package for. They just kept on sending them until they stopped, you know, which went on for years and years. Just posters
I remember
of
that.
stuff.
I remember going to your house and you had all the was it VCJ or whatever? Johnson, yeah, posters, and you're going, I go, well, where'd that come from? You were like, oh yeah, it turned up in the mail, and I was just blown away by this membership that just kept giving. So
yeah,
You had a Transworld subscription too, didn't you?
possibly. I can't remember. Maybe.
I think you did. You subscribed to it, yeah.
It's pretty cool. You could send away for stuff.
Yeah.
And it just come.
that's cool. And going back to, like, at that time, when did you actually start sort of with your competitions, your demos, things like that? When did you start sort of placing or getting to a point where you were, you know, you weren't just in the comp, you were, you know, actually up on podium? Or
I don't know. Well, the first comp I probably ever went in was a Morty Elliott comp, a skate comp, and I think I came 3rd in the under-16s or something like that.
great result.
Probably, you know, Gary Valentine probably came 1st, and I don't know who else it was, whether it was Jason Ellis or Bruce, or he might have been a bit older, a couple of years older than us, or
Jason Ellis wasn't like that then. You got good really quickly.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
He would have been sniffing around though.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember the first ramp ride. He was just starting to come good, wasn't he? It was just
Yeah. Well, he was on Snake Pit and all of that.
But at that time,
So the first comp was Morty comp, and you know, and I actually came 3rd, so that was pretty exciting. And maybe I was addicted to going in competitions after that, wherever they'd let me. You know, the Redstone one was probably after that, the Street Series.
okay.
Still reeling from the East Burl competition. You never got any momentum.
And like the first time I knew of either of you guys was the old Blue Ramp, whereas I grew up.
Yeah.
And
there was a comp there.
yeah, and I think you won that, didn't you, Luke?
I don't know. I've got no idea.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure if it was you or Justin. I can't remember myself because I'd only just started skating. So
Yeah,
But-
like, someone will be
In the
saying, it
finals, I
wasn't
remember
Luke.
sitting back, unreal, like, because we didn't know you guys and got invited to go. I don't know,
Turned up.
there, and Luke, got through and was sort of.
yeah. And how'd you go? Did you go all right when that's over?
It was East Burwood all over again for me.
Just
I can't remember.
flashbacks.
Well, we didn't
Someone
ha-
put 6 Sputnik on and it was all over.
and we didn't have the map on how to get from one transition across the hole, miss the holes in the flat
That's just-
and stuff to the other
That's
side.
just that's not fair. I'm not going to take that on this.
Home ground advantage, maybe.
Nah.
And
But
we didn't have lappers.
Yeah.
I remember, like,
Who was
different.
riding a lapper back then?
Everyone at
Vermont?
Vermont was using lap.
Really?
Well, because they were all doing disasters, and like really utilising the lapper on the way back in on disasters, and it was just like our little group wasn't doing that trick, and different groups, someone learns a trick and then everyone does it.
Less vert at that Fab's ramp as well.
It didn't actually go to vert really. If you
So
look
you
at
could
the
probably
old-
get away with it.
Kind of had a
lapper.
tombstone or something like that.
Yeah, it did, and then it all went to one height at one stage. But yeah,
I think we were doing hand plants and stuff like that, I reckon, and
Yeah.
little backside airs and little frontside airs, and
and I noticed it on this board. But at that stage, were you known as the Bio Boys at that stage?
Yeah, we would have. Or, I guess.
Maybe.
No, or maybe it was probably a bit later, but but we were, yeah, it was a little bit us and them back then, you know, suburban kind of.
We'll just have that's the Bio emblem, and yeah, tell us a bit about the Bio team and what it was about.
Well, it was Davo's thing. Davo would go on holidays up to Queensland and, you know, skate at Tugun, and he ended up skating with all the Queensland guys and come back telling me stories about this Darren Burford guy and Gary Nolan and
The animal.
and they skated, you know, went to this half pipe thing that was out in the rainforest somewhere, or
Is that Peppermint Park or whatever it was?
No, Beachmont.
Okay.
yeah, right.
I couldn't believe it. It's this perfect giant concrete half pipe that stepped down.
Wooden
Guide.
coping or something.
I think so, yeah. And a guy had made it for his young kids, and I took a camera, but it was, you know, the old line-on ones, and the film didn't take, so I got half a photo of one of the things. I took all these photos to show everyone. I was like, that didn't, yeah. I don't know where you'd find it. It's probably still there.
Yeah.
It was concrete, so it was full on.
Yeah. So Darren Burford was making boards.
Yeah, he
and
did Burford blanks and stuff. And
So you'd get blanks, bring it back down, and Davo's quite creative and draw things up. And at Sindel Tech, we were, you know, doing screen printing and stuff in art. So it was pretty.
And what were the, you know, the graphics and stuff at that stage? I mean, I vaguely remember some of them, but what sort of stuff were you?
the only one. There's Chris Payne doing like a
Great. Andrew.
Andrecht or something on it. Yeah, so
that's one I
he let us
remember.
use his photo, and it was just, I don't know.
And the other
wasn't
one was
team
more-
or anything, it was just
Well,
creative to do it. And
how many boards did you make? Probably.
10 maybe tops or
Yeah,
something like that.
and I got 2 of them at least.
Well, actually, one guy on the AC page the other day, he said that he picked up a bio board from, I think it was the
Wow.
Mount Waverley shop or something like that.
Oh yeah, I
Did
might
you
have
put them in
it.
shops?
Maybe, I think.
Yeah, and I was just like, wow, it was.
Cool.
And he said, does anyone know about it? And I mentioned that, you know, obviously I know you guys, and but yeah, the thought of actually trying to get a picture of a board or something, I knew would probably be a big ask, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, you guys were kind of legendary at the Blue Ramp before you guys even turned up. We sort of went, oh.
Really?
Well, I remember, you know, like yourself, you know, it was like, oh, the Bio Boys turned up at the comp, and, you know,
Yeah, right.
it's like a rumour mill, you know, oh yeah, they came and destroyed it and stuff like that, you know. And I was just young, I was, you know, I'd only just started skating, everyone was rad to me, so,
Yeah.
you know, it didn't
Well,
mean
we
much.
were just very suburban level, kind of our own kind of level of skateboarding. Both of those groups, the Waverley and the Vermont guys, and you know, and there was, you know, that comp didn't have, you know, the Johnny McGraths and Tony Helms and all of that there. It was, yeah, just the
It's very suburban, wasn't
the
it?
suburban guys
Walking
battling
a
it
whole
out.
different scene, or like maybe a little bit intimidating even. Like it's just a whole different group of people, and that was their ramp and everything, or your ramp. And
Well, yeah.
Well, Melbourne-
basically not my ramp yet, you know, but
Melbourne was like that. Like you go to someone else's,
it was real local.
other ramp, and the locals would be there, and everyone wanted to skate, and there was only sort of one ramp and 30 people trying to skate it at the time. So
It was pretty snaky, wasn't it?
It was hard to get a go.
Yeah.
You had to kind of battle.
Yeah, no, I do. I remember when I started at the old Blue Ramp, you know, I would get there at, you know, crack of dawn, and, you know, like before anyone had actually seen me skate, you know, it was, you know, a good month or something, and then someone goes, oh, you're getting good really quick. I'm like, no, I've been trying this for a bit, you know? Like,
Yeah. You just come on their radar.
yeah, yeah, exactly. No, I was here at 6 in.the, you know?
who shed on that ramp?
It was apparently that, well, no, it was no apparent, it was Ben.
Ben.
Yeah.
It wasn't a dog,
Yeah.
because dogs don't use toilet paper.
Tell us about that story.
According to Fab's dad.
Yeah.
It was next to, that was commonly known as Fab's ramp in the vacant block next
yeah.
to his.
Well, it was leaning on his house, wasn't it? It's like one side was actually propped up by this.
Yeah, I think it was off
Maybe.
the eaves or something,
Yeah.
the platform. Yeah, well, it had the, you know, the lean-to, and then I think it was screwed to the eaves just to make sure it didn't sag.
It's all up to code.
Yeah.
It's good.
Lots of corrugated iron bent back and over holes, and
Yeah.
it wasn't the best ramp, but it was ours. So
That was good.
yeah.
And there was another backyard ramp. I was at Sindel Tech, and this new kid came to class, and I was most disappointed. The teacher he walks up to me at assembly and goes, "Here's this new kid, Luke, show him around." And it's like, oh fuck, I've got to look after this fucking new kid called Justin. You know, this kid called Justin Kessels, and then I found out that he rode a skateboard, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, that's all right. And it's probably why the teacher gave him to me to, you know, show him.
Justin Kessels, there'd be a their side in his life alone, I think.
Yeah.
The after hours version.
Yeah.
Can't be.
After dark, Justin Kessels.
Yeah, and Kessels,
I'll back for that one.
Yeah.
Kessels had this mate who rode a skateboard also, and said, and we organised to go around on a Saturday, and he knew someone who knew a ramp, and this other vert ramp which was in Mount Waverley somewhere. So we went round to this guy called Mick Sanders' house,
Okay.
and we went and skated this ramp in a backyard somewhere. I still don't know whose ramp it was, but there was this big blue ramp. I don't know if you were there that day, Davo.
I don't think so.
Yeah, we skated this ramp. You would have loved it, Davo.
Now, we were talking about that before, and I mentioned the one near the pool, and you said that you didn't think it was near a pool because I skated one with Mick near a pool. I'm not sure if you skated it.
Well, we moved that. They'd sort of had the ramp, and whoever owned it was over it, and they didn't want it anymore. And we got the ramp, and we convinced one of the kids, Hendo, at school. He had a massive backyard, and we put it in his backyard.
Okay.
And so that was a regular session. It might have been just after we were skating your Davo's ramp.
And sort of what age would you guys have been about this age?
15.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you were working part-time at the butcher shop and
Yep.
still at school and all that at that stage?
Yeah, all around about that stage.
Yeah.
Teenagers.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's cool. And like I've known you for a long time, and from a very young age you were you're involved in yoga and meditation and kung fu and things like that. What age did that sort of come in for you? Because I remember thinking when I was younger, I'm like, yoga, and now, who's the fool? You know?
Yeah. Well, I had this moment maybe at football training at school, you know, I bent down because you had to bend down and touch your toes, and I was like, you know, teenager, bent down and touched my toes and couldn't really touch my toes. And I thought ahead and went, if I can't touch my toes now, what am I going to be like at 30? And I went home and asked Mum, and it's like, I want to go to that thing where all you old ladies go and do stretches. It's like, yoga.
Did your
It's
mum
like,
do it?
yeah, Mum did yoga. I knew Mum went with other old ladies and did stretches somewhere.
Yeah.
And so I went to...
Old ladies was like 45 or something.
yeah.
Younger than us.
Yeah.
Yes. So...
Right, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be.
So I went to Mrs. Fielding's yoga class and would go once a week, and yeah, I really liked it. You know, do some stretches, got more flexible, and learnt how to breathe, different breathing techniques, and I did that for quite a few years. I found it useful.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
you see with your flexibility in skating and stuff now, you know, like you still can do stuff that, you know, most...
I should do more stretching. It's kind of one of those things that slipped.
You never seem to get injured. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean...
I did, but you ride a skateboard, you're going to get injured, but
Yeah, but you know, people that have
not so bad.
break limbs or do something to their knee and be off for a while, but you never seem to seem to stop skating.
segue too. I mean, at that stage, had you been breaking bones or had any, injuries in the skate world?
Another pivotal moment in my skateboarding was skating I was at Doveton, and I fell over and drove my hand and wrist into the concrete really hard, and it was really hurting. I was looking, it must have been this one, might not, looking at my wrist and going, oh fuck, this really hurts. And again, looked into the future and went, if I keep skateboarding, this is going to this is going to keep on happening. I'm going to really hurt myself, and this really hurts, and I don't like it. And I went, nah. It's like I could have stopped, but I went, it's going to hurt. I know it's going to happen again, but I'm going to keep on going.
And that, like, was that the injury where you hit so hard that your end of your finger fell off?
Nah, no, not quite. That's a different story. Nothing to do with skateboarding. But,
Okay, so how did that happen while we're like on the...
well, yeah, so I was into scouts. I like going to scouts, and we'd always go camping, and it was on a canoe trip out heading towards Bairnsdale on the Mitchell or the Thompson River, 5 days canoeing down, and went
It's insane.
camping in this sort of canyon, and we would have gone down, a couple of days later, we would have gone past this place called the Den of Nargan, and that's like a Aboriginal mythical place where this monster, the Nargan, lives, and we were 16 or something, exploring everything, and we would have been going in there. And the story is, you don't go in the Nargan's cave because it's a sacred
He eats fingers.
spot. Well, it was a women's place, and young boys.
I shouldn't assume gender ever.
Yeah, you shouldn't go there, kind of thing. So while we were camped, it's like, let's go up and climb these cliffs in this canyon. And Philip Beanland went up first, and he was almost at the top, and then it was my turn. And I put my hand on the first hold, and the Nargan was up the top there, because the Nargan takes the form of a rock, and could have been Philip knocking it down, but anyway, this rock came down, also known as the Nargan.
Definitely the Nargan.
My hand was on a hold, so it was like a knife on a chopping board, just went boom. I was like, my hand, how am I going to canoe tomorrow? And I looked down, I was like, Philip, you've cut off my finger.
Philip is obviously the other name for the Nargan.
No, that's the other guy who bumped had my finger in my finger in my hand like that.
That's what the props are for.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And I was like, shit, what am I going to do? And I was looking at it, and the blood was like spurting out with every heartbeat. You go,
Oh.
I was like, oh shit. Then made a quick calculation in my head. Okay, it's about 8 o'clock. It's about to get dark. We can't get to the hospital.
Everyone else is fainting around. Probably.
Yeah.
I felt like I was going to faint. What are we going to do? We probably should have the finger on ice. It's the middle of summer. That's not going to happen. We should probably get to the hospital in 2 hours. And it's like, the finger's not going to get sewn back on. Got to pull. I haven't got a hanky I didn't bring a hanky. Pulled my hanky out of my pocket. I've got to stop this blood because I just can't let this leak out. Went back to camp, and they walked back down to camp, and I laid down. Someone put pressure on it. We sewed it up. Tied my hand to the tree.
So they sewed it up with no anaesthetic?
Oh, actually, nah. They didn't sew it up. They just put some little suture stitch kind of whatever. They bandaged it up, whatever. And just pressure for 20 minutes stopped the blood spurting out and everything. Wow. And it was just weeping, and then just sort of bandaged it. I tied it to the tree. I was a bit concerned I might fall asleep with my hand down and bleed out or something silly like that.
And how old were you then?
About 16, I reckon.
Yeah.
And I watched the Southern Cross go through the sky, and I didn't sleep much that night.
Oh,
I then went, right, it does this nice sort of arc, all the stars kind of like move through the sky.
Yeah.
And so, we got in the canoes, went down a bit further the next day, walked up a hill, caught a ride to the Bairnsdale Hospital, and...
Yeah.
So how many, was it 2 days or something before you got to...
Nah, just the next day. By 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we were at the hospital, and they just sort of sewed it up, and that was it. Couldn't skate for a bit.
Yeah.
Looked like a sugar bag. I remember you
had the bandage
just sewed it right across the top.
Oh, yeah. So they just basically squeezed, rounded off the bone so it wouldn't pierce through after they stitched it up, and then, sewed it up.
It was kind of like it was almost the start of the initiation to be a bio boy, because you've also got the same thing, haven't you, Dave?
9, Luke.
Yeah, so you've also lost your finger, Dave. How'd you do that?
Power tools.
Oh, but sore at work.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. And that was quite a few years later though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Oh, it's cool.
20 or something, I suppose.
But yeah, I feel a
I
bit
got paid
weird
for
having
mine.
all my limbs on the couch.
Yeah. A bit like me being in Yarraville and not having tattoos. I feel a bit left out.
That's why I wore the shorts. I feel, you know. That's cool. So then we got like the next era of skating where you sort of met all the Vermont boys and stuff like that. And I think it was when Paran and, you know, Ringwood Ramp and all those things were coming through around that era too, you know. So
Yeah,
tell us-
ramps were going off.
Yeah.
Every suburb, well, not every suburb, but there was, ramps were going everywhere. And before that, it was, you could go to Bulleen, you could go to Doveton, or go to Ringwood, or we went to Parkdale, which was another version of those
Oh, that
Ringwood
was
ones.
full on.
Oh, we
that
couldn't
was
skate it.
really
We could
deep.
just went down it and did kick turns and came back. But
Even the angle of the half pipe leading into the bowl was so steep that if you did the whole thing, like we were
Yeah.
not good enough, you were flying into the bowl. Like it was pretty full on.
Yep, I remember that ball.
I've never seen a guy turn up in like Blundstones and you know, work shorts and just dropping into the bowl, you know, with no pads or anything, just blown away.
yeah.
It's incredible.
Pads. I was so stoked to get pads. I think we did a group buy, all the Hoot Owl, you know, Warwick Brown
Yeah, Warwick, yeah.
guys. Someone organised. We went to Max Surf and Sail or something down
In Moorabbin?
Yeah.
Moorabbin, somewhere like that.
Warwick
It was-
spoke to the guy, brokered a bit of a deal if he bought
we got
10 pairs or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
10
Wow.
pairs of rector knees and rector elbows. I don't think we got Protex.
No, we had to go. That was from a parachute shop, wasn't it, or something? Or
There was,
they were hard to get.
yeah. But anyway, we got our pads and that was so exciting. We finally had elbow pads, knee pads, and we looked as cool as the guys in the magazines.
Yeah, that's the main thing, isn't it?
I still remember when we started, had those rainbow.
Yeah, they were
They
useless.
just slipped
kids.
straight off too.
Yeah.
They were horrible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you look pretty. Can't say that word, but you look a bit fruity.
Yeah.
Well, with the-
Yeah, you just say that.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. And so when you know, like
Can't remember.
when we were like the Vermont ramp and the Ringwood ramp and all that, like you guys obviously, how did you hear about the Vermont ramp going up or
Before that, we were petitioning in Glen Waverley to the Waverley Council
Yes.
for a half pipe, and we'd go
We'd be at the
Glen
supermarket.
shopping centre and stuff. Yeah, just pushing this clipboard. on old people.
Excuse me, old lady, can you sign this petition? What's it for? It's for a skateboard bowl. We had a picture of a skateboard bowl from Perfect Transition.
Yeah.
That was the Hamilton skateboard bowl. It was like this nice keyhole. Well, it looked awesome to us.
Yep.
Looked a bit like Del Mar, which is what we kind of wanted, which, you know, apparently wasn't that good.
Yeah.
But well, kinked anyway.
So you guys
They made it. They ended up making a steel half pipe,
Yeah.
and it was pretty good. And then Vermont went up, and we just ditched the Glen Waverley one completely and went to Vermont.
Yeah. Or did Vermont come first? I don't know. That's similar times.
Yeah.
Vermont was up before Waverley.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right.
But was Waverley because of the petition and all
Yeah.
that you guys did? Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I think there was like, you know, 3 skateboarders in Waverley, me, Martin and Davo, that wanted a skate park.
Yeah.
And then by that time, you know, skateboarding got momentum. A lot of people were doing it. And so they went, oh yeah, we need a skate park. And also there was that ramp under the power lines. James Mackey's mates
Yeah.
built this. That was one of the raddest, well-built backyard ramps. It wasn't a backyard, it was just sort of in public property.
They didn't like us because we skated. And
Yeah,
did tricks. They called us smart asses.
yeah.
Isn't that the whole idea of skateboarding? To do tricks?
Or call people smartasses,
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Both.
It was a bit of a bogan pocket.
Yeah.
Of,
Bit of column A, bit of column B.
Yeah, but I remember that was a cool, really well-built ramp. Didn't last that long because the council wanted to rip it down and they built, I think so that was the final push on the council to build the Waverley ramp.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I remember the first time, you know, we went up to Vermont and, you know, we were like, oh, the Bio boys are here again. And we'd obviously met you a few times since in that time. But there was a chain across the ramp as they were building it. And I think, I'm not sure.
Was it when they were building it or
It hadn't quite been open.
it got locked every day?
Yeah, you couldn't skate it at night, I think, as
but
well.
I think the chain incident was when it wasn't quite finished. The deckings and
Yeah, right.
the bits and pieces so hadn't been done. I mean, I think the platforms were just finished. The staircase wasn't up.
Yeah, right.
So they couldn't open it to the public. But
Of course.
tell us about the chain story and the myth that all the.
Well, we weren't going to stop skating it just because there was a chain across the ramp.
Of course.
So you just do it like, you know, hitting a crack on in the footpath. You just lift your front wheels and bounce over the back of it. And keep riding. And I think I did a rock and roll. Apparently, I can't remember.
I remember
everything.
rock and roll, but I remember hearing it was a frontside rock and stuff like that.
Let's just say I did a frontside rock and roll, but
Hurricane.
Maybe it wasn't. Yeah.
No.
Across the chain. But I tried it again later at another time at another demo, and they wouldn't let us skate in between. So I was like, I know what to do. We'll just
Bump.
you just bump and jump the chain. But I wasn't as young and as well, and the chain just caught my wheel and just went
Straight into the other transition.
that was at a great demo, the Formula One ramp with Tony Hawk and
Yeah, that was when I first got back from overseas, and I remember.
yeah.
Yeah, it was like literally I'd been back 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and I went there, and I think it was you, Justin, and Renton, and.
Yeah. Oh, it wasn't that one. That's another one. But anyway.
Okay. Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay. And around that time too, you did a lot of. Were you travelling for skateboarding? Were you going places like?
I don't know if I travelled that much for skating. You know, there was ramps and stuff around. I mean, we'd get a travel card and on a Saturday and hop on the train from Glen Waverley to Richmond and change and go out to Morty Alec ramp, or catch the bus. But that took longer.
The skate travel was sort of a bit later on in your timeline, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and luckily we had Mick Sanders. He was the first one to get a licence,
And
he'd
Kessel's after that.
Yeah, and they'd pick us up and take us to Vermont ramp, or you'd ride your bike, or
There's a real
whatever.
priority thing with the driving and the who got what in the seats with Vermont, wasn't there? Like the co-pilot obviously had to be the next person who had their license or whatever, and
or a qualified co-pilot.
yeah, qualified co-pilot.
In other words, you needed your driver's licence.
Yeah, I do remember travelling in a boot down to Knox a couple times, just because there was I think 5 in the back or whatnot. So
Yeah, they built Knox Bowl while Vermont was around, didn't they? That was
yeah, that wasn't that much after either, was it?
yeah. And that was it was another thing. The Knox guys didn't like us because we were out of town, so far away,
Yeah.
up the hill.
Admittedly, though, we used to go down and before the 2 main bowls were there.
Yeah,
When the snake run, and they would treat it like a half pipe, and we were treating it more like a snake run.
like a Bulleen or a Dove.
Yeah, and I was doing the trains through it, and I remember all us guys, Kessels, and Mick Powell, and all that.
Yeah,
That was great. Fuck off back to Vermont.
yeah.
Ran too, that sort of popped in.
It was around that time too, wasn't it?
Yeah, but the Vermont time, yeah. We go there sometimes.
That was a really that was a next level scene compared to our
Yeah.
one. All your Gary Valentines and Chris Paynes and John McGraths and Jason Ellis's and
Seemed fairly serious, didn't it? When you went there, it was like,
yeah,
we weren't fucking about anymore.
yeah.
You're not in Kansas anymore.
That's right. We
I
were,
remember the Paran competition and your run was coming up and I said, I've got this idea, if I just slide my board forward onto the coping,
yeah.
you do a lean air out, ditch your board and land on my one.
I totally forgot about all that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I remember people yelling at you.
Chris Payne tried to grab me and I went, no, leave me, because he thought I was going to cut
they're
him
like,
on your run.
This is Luke's run. Get the board off.
That's awesome.
Classic, like, oh yeah, okay, I'll try that. Never practiced, never done it before. In the middle of a competition run, Joe's board lands on my board, pulls it off, does the rest of the run on my board.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Mostly, you've done that quite a lot, over the years. I remember, Vermont, the, board changes and, just doing silly things to spice it up a little bit, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, little ideas pop into your head, and if you think about it too much, you probably overthink it and won't do it. Just go for it at the time.
And at that time too, I mean, there was a lot of, you know, I know there was the Mick Powell's backyard ramp that had two, like, I mean, I think it started off as vert, didn't it?
Oh, not quite vert, but it was, you know, there wasn't much space.
Yeah.
So it was sort of like limitations, not much space. Needed to have 600mm platform so you can
have a lot of flat
do
either,
a rock and roll.
Yeah.
You needed to be able to smiff it, so it had to be a certain amount of steepness. So then it ended up a real tight transition.
Yep.
Steep enough.
I remember skating that a few times before it
Yeah.
became the Mini, and it was hard.
Yeah, it's good fun.
Yeah. So, and also, I mean, sorry, I'm just.
Go.
Yeah. Did you skate Dave Walsh's ramp as well, like the U one?
I remember skating it once at some blue ramp.
Yeah.
Maybe only once.
Yeah.
Or maybe I just saw a picture and thought I skated it. But
Okay.
anyway.
No, we did once. I remember going
Yeah.
down there once, yeah.
Cool. And so, tell us a bit more about like your Vermont days and, you know, the early years and sort of meeting everyone and, you know, just.
Well, it was just another group of guys that rode skateboards, so it was just awesome, and it was near our house. We didn't have to get on 2 trains to get to Mordialloc or get a train to. There was still 2 trains to get to Paran. You could either go to Richmond, change trains,
Yeah, get on a tram.
or you could get off and get the tram. It was great to have just a closer ramp to skate.
That's the best years of our lives, I reckon. Like just
Yeah.
really awesome group of, you know, you guys, and everyone got along really well. And I guess we're probably all
We
getting to that age where you sneak a few beers and go to a party and everything. And it was just a whole big scene, a group of.
I remember it. I kind of remember it almost straight edge. Well, kind of like curve edge.
Yeah. I think I think really around that time though, that was where the curve became more rounded. Like.
Possibly, but up until a point, like I didn't drink, and I think, you know, I've always been a bit of a wowser, and I don't know if it was those early days of Vermont that made me a wowser, but or seeing the 60 Minutes interview with, you know, skateboarders and hearing Gregor Rankin and Lee Ralph say that they didn't drink, they're more interested in just skating and related to that, or.
Yeah, I mean,
something.
definitely, you know, there was a lot of parties going on at that stage. I know we would just walk around the neighbourhood, you know, and just, yeah, that was exactly it, wasn't it?
Someone from Steve's school said there's a party at here.
Yeah.
Maybe sitting on the bonnet of Kessel's car and he turned the motor off and you just roll down a hill listening to music. I could hear a party over there.
Well, I remember we did that, you know, we went into one party, and I think you guys were there, but it was, we went in and straight away, you know, everyone was looking at us, and Darren and Dempster and
we were drinking their beer.
yeah, exactly, yeah, you were there, yeah, and they said straight away they said, yeah, I think you guys should leave. It was like a 40th, and we're like 15, 16, you know, and yeah, I think was it Ash that got punched in the face or something?
Possibly.
Like that? Yeah, it was, but that, you know,
We slowly got the message that we weren't supposed to be there.
yeah, I mean, for the amount of parties that we gate crashed to the amount of parties that we actually had that sort of thing, I think we did all right.
Yeah.
I think we did real well, to be honest. We're still here, so.
Well, being where it was, though, like, you'd have parties at the ramp and just sleep on the ramp and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, everyone's parents didn't really care, or there wasn't, you know, I don't know, it's just
Well, the ramp
great
parties were
environment.
every year too, you know, they were always funny, you know, like there was some funny stories.
Well,
so.
we never, like, the ramp party, like the Christmas Eve ramp party
Yep.
was maybe the one time of the year that we would drink alcohol, get drunk, and ride a skateboard.
Yeah.
Because we never
did it
we never
before.
drank and skateboarded,
Oh, yeah.
except for there was one night a year that's what we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, I remember, yeah, waking up one morning and having the hipper that was the size of the thing, and everyone goes, oh yeah, you hung up a frontside air with no pads. And I was like, I didn't even remember skating, let alone hanging up a frontside air.
Insult to injury, had dicks drawn on your face.
Yeah, well, I did mention that in my interview, so we'll be away from that. Already had that thing, so.
But yeah, my memory of it, we were pretty, like, yeah, it was mostly just about skateboarding, you know, maybe for me, yeah.
Yeah, do you remember the four-wheel driving through the when they were building the library and all that. Remember they had all the big dirt mounds and that.
Yeah, the big sort of steamrollery kind
Yeah.
of thing and stuff.
Yeah.
We worked out how to start that up.
Yeah, you were there that night too, weren't you? When we got chased. That was
Yeah.
yeah. So tell them that the steamroller story from that was coming home.
That was like, it's just another moment when I thought, geez, lucky no one died trying to drive this huge heavy machine
It was
over
really big, wasn't it?
over bumps and lumps and stuff. Yeah, I worry now as a parent. Geez, I hope my son doesn't makes it, because there's so many times when you could not make it, and you hear stories of people not making it.
Well, I remember we
The
were all
worst ones are Kessel's driving, I think.
Well, yeah,
Times you thought I should have died.
yeah,
yeah.
oh, for sure. I actually remember the steamroller thing, like, because we all got in, we were pretending, making the noises and carrying on, and we're just trying to press any button to see if it worked. And remember the door opened and there was the key there, and I remember putting the key in, turning it on, and seeing the light, and we were like, oh, and we pressed the button and it went. Next thing you know, we're all hanging off it and laughing and carrying on until we saw the blue lights all around us, and we're like, oh fuck, it's probably time to run.
Probably just as well the blue lights were coming.
Yeah, because some of those hills were quite big too, weren't they?
Yeah.
So, what else have we got in here? Oh yeah, tell us about your car driving skills into Vermont car park. Your four-wheel sliding into.
Yeah, part of skateboarding and part of being a teenager was showing off,
Yep.
kind of stuff like that. I probably wasn't the most elegant driver, but I could try my Volkswagen, just line it up and see if you could slide in sideways. Sometimes I drove a little bit like riding a skateboard and amazingly survived.
Yep.
And then we're just like, and it's like, I think I was a little bit relaxed in that, like, I'd slam into the curb and the front wheel would like bend over like that, and you're like, oh man, you fucked up your tyre and your wheel or something. Like, well, just pay a mechanic to fix it.
Yeah.
I had an apprenticeship. I was earning $150 a week.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Were you paying board?
I think I had to pay $40 at some stage. I was most distressed. What do I have to pay to live at home? It's like, it costs
Never had to
about
pay
$60
before.
or $80 to feed you, Luke. Oh, okay.
And what age did you start your apprenticeship, Luke?
17.
17. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did year 11.
Yeah. Was
And
that with
then-
like a local bloke or a big company or?
I was just with one guy, Gary Mason.
Yep.
I tried out for a whole heap of apprenticeships. I ended up getting an apprenticeship offer for the gas and fuel, and maybe even Melbourne Water, and maybe even Kodak factory out in Coburg.
Yeah.
For some reason I thought I'll do it with the local guy. I'll rather than be narrowed in to just one thing, and just did general plumbing.
Yeah.
It was good.
And think about how much energy you had back then. Like you do an apprenticeship, or I was doing it as well. Do an apprenticeship, get home, jump on your bike, ride up to Vermont.
Yeah.
It's about a half an hour's ride or something.
Yeah, or if you're going a good
Killing
day,
yourself.
20 minutes,
Yeah.
if you're really going.
And then you'd skate. So at some point you'd shove food in your mouth, and then you'd skate till it got dark. The sun would be like 9 o'clock, and then ride
Yeah.
home, and then go to bed, get up, and
Yeah.
just couldn't get it up. I couldn't.
And did you start your apprenticeship roughly around the same time, Dave?
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was in sign writing, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
And who did you work for? It was strangely enough the name of the company.
Luke Signs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So
And you got me a T-shirt, a Luke Signs T-shirt, one of my favourite T-shirts at
Yeah.
the time.
It was red too. You always love red.
Yeah, I love the red.
Yeah. And another skater worked there too, didn't they? Monty?
Darren Montague.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
He's out there watching now, probably.
it's cool. And you've always had the ability, from what I've known, like to be, you could be surrounded by 20 guys doing the wrong thing, and somehow you've got singled out for, by an authority or a person or whatever. Like,
Yeah. I've always been lucky.
yeah, I've never understood it. But like, tell us a couple stories about, tell us about the corn cob story.
Yeah, well, I don't know, Kentucky Fried Chicken, bit of corn cob, and we're just driving along. I think it was Davo's Tirana, and we're driving past a police car. I don't know if it was a joke that started after that or before that. It's like, there's the cops, don't look. It might have been after that.
Yeah.
And this might be the reason, but you know, it was just, and I had the corn cob just in my mouth and was just looking at the police car. I must have been in qualified co-pilot at the time or something.
You doing like simulated fellatio on the corn cob, weren't you, or something?
Well, I don't know, maybe that was the policeman's vivid imagination, or I don't know, maybe my excuse was I just had it in my mouth.
Yeah. And were you trying to get a wind up of him, or?
I don't know, maybe I started to...
Like, yeah.
Marty, maybe I started to believe my own story that I was telling him. I just had the corn cob in my mouth, and that's how I remember it, but who knows what the truth is.
Say, don't be a dickhead or something like that.
I know, they pulled us over, went over the whole car and checked it, looking for something to drill us on, or poor Davo's going out there and they're checking his car.
Run had leopard skin all over it and skulls and everything, so it was
Did they make a suggestion what they were going to do with the corn cob?
Well, at the end, the policeman walks over to me, opens up the door and goes, if you look at me like that again, I'm going to shove that corn cob right up your ass. And yeah, I respected authority, so I just sort of said nothing and nodded my head, and we went on our merry way.
Yeah, you had trouble years later too, like you know, at Mount Buller and stuff with, you know, different incidents and whatever. Probably not as innocent in those days too. But.
Nah, well, I mean, if you're going to go to the snow, I think snowballs are just an occupation health and safety issue.
Yep.
People are going to throw them at you, and someone needed to do that, and I was always willing to throw snowballs at anyone.
I'm pretty sure
on the chairlift.
We weren't. None of us were shy on that. So
it was part of the. We paid for the ride up the thing. I think that's included. You're allowed to throw snowballs at people.
I feel like we earned it. Yeah.
So we'll pay for all of them.
Yeah.
Nah, we're picking on, you know, some poor girl skiing. I think apparently she was famous or something.
From neighbours, yeah.
Yeah. I think I must have got her and got off the chairlift at the top. I'm kind of laughing, and then this guy comes up who was on the chairlift behind me and picks up a lump of snow and shoves it in my face and goes, "Hey you, that was my missus." That's my memory of it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And yeah, I'm not very good at conflict. You know, it's like, you know, I'm not the type of person to get into a fight. I normally just sort of get beaten up. So I was just like, oh yeah, okay.
We'd get conflict
Thanks
most spring carnivals up the snow too, didn't we? Like,
you split someone's nose open, didn't you, off the chairlift with it?
Yeah.
Snowball.
Yeah, that was a particularly hard packed snowball. You know how you throw that snowball, like you're aiming for someone, and then you throw it and you let go of it. And you think, geez, that's a good throw. It's like, that's really accurate. And you're just watching it, oh, that's a good one. And it's going to hit the guy right on the top of the head. And then they kind of look up at the perfect time and it just smashes in their face.
Yeah.
He was actually a snowboard instructor taking a class at the time. And had his nose split open in front of everyone.
Yeah, I think,
awesome.
Did we?
And I remember they used to have bands and that at that.
Did we get banned for that?
Yeah,
I think we did. I had a season's pass.
Snipped your ticket, I think, because
you jumped off. We took off down another run.
Oh, that's right.
And the ski patrol were after us. And then on the way back up, they were waiting at the top. And did you jump off the chairlift?
Probably.
Went back down the bottom again.
Bonsai!
That's right. We would do that every year, wouldn't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so obviously, you know, by 17, snowboarding had become also part of your sort of thing that you were doing as well.
Yeah, we went up with Steve Brown the first time.
Yep.
He ditched us as soon as we got there. I think he just wanted the ride, but we hired some, what were they called? Sims half pipe snowboards.
That was my first.
Yeah, I ended up buying one.
Yeah.
Geez, it was bloody hard snowboarding. I hated it. First 2 days, just
Like
like
moon
sore,
boots on. What sort of boots
sore
did you
ass, sore
Sorels,
wrists.
I think. Hard boots the first 2 days. It was
Yeah,
awful.
They had moon boots on. I couldn't turn. I think there's something wrong with this.
Yeah.
It was too hard.
We just didn't know how to do it. You couldn't get lessons back then.
No. Well, there was only the first years we went, there was only a couple runs that we even had access to, wasn't it?
Yeah, you weren't allowed down the steep ones.
It was just Burn Hut, Burke Street, and Shaky Knees, I think, when we started, like the first year, and they absolutely hated us.
Yeah, I remember we were still skateboarding heaps back then, and it might have been 89 or or something. And every time you jump in the car with Mick Sanders and Davo and whoever else we're getting a lift with, and you'd be like, geez, I hope that it rains all weekend because I'm going snowboarding this weekend or this day. That I didn't want to miss out on a session at the ramp.
I remember thinking that too. I'm like, I love snowboarding, but I like skateboarding so much better. You know, like,
but you still wanted to go snowboarding as well.
absolutely, yeah. And you mentioned Steve Brown, and I know at some stage you started riding for Ringwood Surf and Sail. Was that your first sponsor? I mean, other than Bio, obviously.
Yeah, that was the first shop sponsor.
Yep.
Probably only shop sponsor, maybe, unless I'm completely forgetting someone. But anyway, maybe another one. So that was good. We'd get a board, and then when we finished using the board, we'd give it back, and they'd give us another one. And
what would they do with the old boards?
And they'd resell them for whatever they probably paid for them in the first price. So it was sort of like a free sponsorship deal for them. But we still got new boards. But and maybe some wheels and some trucks and some stickers and stuff like that. It was, but you got and they'd make some ads for you in the local magazines and stuff like that.
I remember a couple of those.
So that was. Oh, look, there's my picture in the magazine. At some point, you get the odd photo in Skating Life or something like that. Probably got them somewhere.
Yeah.
Some of them.
So around this age, I mean, you're sort of 17. You probably, your social life, as you were saying about parties and things like that, started kicking off. Did girls come onto the scene for you, or were you in relationships, or were you just?
Yeah, I was never very good at girls though, really.
Oh,
but anyway,
did all right for yourself.
But at that time, I was also a Vermont crew member.
Yeah,
there's a bit of the original T-shirt there on the top, and also the back of it. What's the back?
Is that Craig Johnson?
Craig Johnson, which was sort of like this was on the back of the T-shirt.
And that was the picture from the ramp right down Torquay, wasn't it?
Probably.
Yeah, pretty sure it was, because he had the double Protex.
Did you get that when you
Pro Design? Sorry.
Will you remember when you got?
I think you had to pay a bit extra for a T-shirt, or you got it as a membership. I don't know. Oh, maybe you just got
the kind of slush fund.
Yeah. Went towards the Barocca couch, I think.
Was how did the Barocca couch thing came all about?
Jealousy. I don't know. Just awesome. Talking shit.
He did a really good job. He was the president of.
Did an amazing job.
Vermont Skate Club. We just accused him of
funneling funds.
Funneling the meagre funds that it cost to skate the ramp.
Oh yeah, and then we would probably, if anyone was funneling the funds, it's us when we would have our annual general meeting, and we'd have multiple pizzas and whatever, So that's the first. Was that the first one?
Yeah, this is my membership card from the first. Yeah.
Is it you on the back?
Yeah, and also on the back, bad photo. It's probably going to be hard to see, but that's one of my early hand plants halfway up the ramp at Warwick Brown's ramp. That's where we learned.
So, why was it? Explain the whole Vermont membership thing to us, Luke, because it was a very odd situation for any ramp, wasn't it?
Well, I think at that time people were scared that someone might get injured, someone might sue someone. So if there was the Nuttawading Skateboard Club was formed, people could sue them and they would have no money and the council would be fined.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's why it happened.
Yeah. Because it was bizarre, wasn't it, to ask, people for...
Didn't the money go to resurfacing and stuff like that when it needed to?
And the decking and things like that.
Yeah. Well, it was early days of providing skateboard facilities for the councils and stuff. So people, they didn't know how to do it.
The fact that we did the maintenance on the ramp was bizarre too. Like in this day and age, you would have to have it signed off on. There'd be, we just got some 13-year-old kids to fix that. You know what I mean?
To resurface the whole ramp.
Yeah. It just seems bizarre, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So that's cool. And
but it got awkward, didn't asking people when they come to skate, they needed to pay. How much was it for a day?
$2.
Yeah.
$2. And we had the Saturday morning sessions that were the $1, and that was for the grommets and that. And
Yeah, right.
Johnny Denver and
Whose job was it to ask like Gregor Rankin and Lee Ralph when they
We
were
will-
for $2?
always Brad.
It was never my job.
Yeah, I would go.
I was an outsider from Waverley anyway.
Brad was good with that though. Brad would always like have no problem asking.
Well, look at him now. He's a businessman.
Well, he's the most successful out of all of them, I got. So that's all good. But yeah, and so you started riding, and you started snowboarding at that stage, and Team Wallride. Tell us about that and how that came about, and who's in it. What is it?
Well, we were into snowboarding. Tim Steele told. I remember this story. Tim Steele told me about these guys that would go up there, and they were skateboarders, but they were also snowboarded, and they would camp at the bottom of the hill, and they had these lights on the top of their heads and stuff. And I kind of imagined, zip lines flying through the forest and stuff. I don't know why, but I had this imagine. And one day I went up looking for them. I drove up by myself and camped by myself because I knew how to camp from scouts and all of that kind of stuff. And
Take
didn't.
the noggin?
I was still. Nargin travels with me, that warning. I don't forget. I don't think I found them that day, but was searching for them. But then eventually found them and started skating with the Wall Riders, which was Marty Gordon and a bunch of other guys.
Yep.
And the next story that excited me is like, oh yeah, at the end of the year we're going to go up to the top of Victoria's highest mountain, and we're going to camp there and go snowboarding.
Okay.
It's called Mount Bogong, and yeah, that was really exciting to me. And I was pretty addicted to going up and camping at the bottom of Bulla.
Because we'd already, you, me, and Tim had already gone to New Zealand at that stage,
Yes.
hadn't we?
Yes.
And that just dawned on me. I just remembered a funny story from when we first turned up in New Zealand. Do you remember?
Which one?
Do you remember?
Customs.
Yeah, customs.
They gave us free alcohol on the plane back in those days.
And do you explain what happened there at that stage? Like,
did someone being kidnapped?
it was a Japanese prince, I think.
A Japanese prince had been kidnapped or something like that, and and so they asked if I had anything in my suitcase, and I just said, I've just got this Japanese prince in my suitcase, so that's about it.
Went a bit tits up after that, didn't it?
Yeah, I think they wanted to do a bit more investigation.
We were
Get the corn cobs on him.
Yeah.
That's because I remember they got you and Tim, and I was fucking around on a wheelchair at that stage trying to do monos.
Yeah.
And then they pulled me into a room too because, like you said, they gave us free alcohol.
Yeah, and I think that was the same problem with the snowball incident with the snowboard instructor. It was free alcohol involved, and I blame the free alcohol.
The drink really crept into the snowboarding scene.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, and then when we got to the hotel, there was what happened there? When we got to,
I can remember there was a girl on the opposite room, naked in the
but
hotel.
before we got there,
Before that bit.
yeah. Remember the pool?
Oh, yeah, I fell in the pool.
Yeah. In the middle of the snow
How
season.
much did you drink on the plane?
It doesn't take much for me to get a bit tipsy, but I was like, oh, look at the water. Whoa!
I go.
It was like slow
Straight
mo. It was like I was watching. He said, "You had your wallet and your passport and everything in your pocket."
Lucky there's no phones then.
No, exactly. So,
Nah.
but yeah, and then the girl, like I totally forgot about that. So,
Yeah.
and what happened there?
I don't know, we was just perving on some girl. How good is this? There's a naked girl across the way, across the courtyard and the thing. And then once she realised that we were watching her in the shower or whatever, she sort of stuck her bum out, slapped her ass and disappeared. Her own ass.
Because there was two hotels, wasn't there? And they were like sort of facing each
Yeah.
other. So,
It's exciting for a young fella like myself.
God, it's exciting for an old fella like me. Yeah, so sorry, I didn't mean to go off topic. You were talking about Bogong, and sorry, I just
So we went, that reminds. So before Bogong, I think we did a few training trips. Well, we weren't training trips; they were just like the snow season finished, and it was like. And so Marty Gordon was like our fearless leader of the Wall Riders, and he just organised stuff, and we'd just do it. And he'd go, oh, Luke, okay, you're going round to this address, picking up this guy, and going to this address, picking up another guy. And I just do what he said. And then we're going to meet on the Hume Highway and keep going up. And so pick up these two strangers and load their stuff in. And going up the Hume Highway, and Peter Casati was sitting in the back. And at this stage, I was sort of a little bit in denial about the state of my hair growth on the top of my head. You know, I kind of had long hair. I used to always wear a beanie or something. I must have had my beanie off. And he was just like, and then driving along, he just full volume. He's just like, "You're bald."
Who was that,
Gons. Yeah, and then up at that stage, I was a bit kind of covering it up, and you know, I mean, everyone else knew, but it wasn't working. But I was conscious about it. But it was a real pivotal moment. I was like, "Yes, I'm bald."
Gons has always been known for his subtlety.
Yeah,
though.
it's like a house brick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, it was hard in that moment, but it was a really good thing, because I was like, oh yeah, I'm bald. I don't need to worry about that anymore. And I think, you know, later on, Davo, you know, dyed all the side of my hairs blonde, and I looked a bit like who was that guy that had the snowboard? I looked a bit like Sean Palmer,
Yeah,
and
a bit of
Krusty the Crown kind of look.
Yeah.
So I kind of embraced it. So it's good to just embrace slowly, you know, through your life, embracing yourself and who you are, who you actually are, and just like, this is it.
So when you were hiking, like, you know, Bogong and Feathertop and stuff like that, were you sleeping in tents, or were you making ice huts or anything like that?
Tents and not quite igloos, or there probably wasn't enough snow to build a cave, and it probably would have taken too long. So, you know, we just would climb up, walk up in the middle of the night, because it was weekends. You had, you know, get home from work, jump in the car, drive 5 hours up to the snow or wherever, get there at 11, hike up the mountain.
And who was involved in that?
So Marty's brother Lee, you know, they were both really experienced snow campers, and they basically kept us alive. And Reese Cliff and Peter Casati, they were like, you know, the main ones.
Yep.
And OT, there was this really old guy who used to come with us.
Hope he's watching.
And we called him the old timer.
Yep.
He turns out he was like 30 or something like that.
I love OT.
At the time. But yeah, I just remember he was so old.
Yeah, he was probably only a couple of years older than all of us guys, wasn't he?
But he was, you know, doing what we were doing, and yeah. He had a car too, so he'd be taking us places.
And with snowboarding, obviously that's you know, done a lot of, you know, you've done a lot of travelling with snowboarding and to different places. Like, you went with the wall ride guys to Utah, is that right?
Yeah, we booked it, or Marty organised it as usual, and said, oh, we're going to Utah for 8 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever it is. Yep, okay, cool, when? Yeah. Well, maybe it was 4 weeks, so we just...
Yeah.
We'll book the tickets, you know, he'd probably take us to the travel agent
and
make it happen.
Who was on that trip?
Tim Steele, Reese, OT, Marty, Scott Hodgson.
Yep.
Yeah, that's probably everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rented a house in the Salt Lake City. Caught the bus straight up to Brighton, Utah. Went to Snowbird a few times.
Been a Mormon place. What was the, you know, the general sort of? Well, I haven't been to Utah myself, so.
Oh, everyone was really friendly.
Yeah.
And nice, and like I remember one guy was like, oh yeah, I lost my jacket and left it there, and he was like, oh, only in Utah, and he found his jacket, still had his wallet and all his money in it, and all that kind of stuff. But it was mainly just sort of, snowboarding.
Were you partying over there? Like, was there a lack of partying because of them being Mormons, or I've seen a lot of pictures that...
I was just obsessed by snowboarding mostly, really.
Yeah.
Not so much partying.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's just me, a bit boring. I did skate with, snowboard with Adrock, what's his name?
Oh yeah, from Beastie Boys?
Yeah.
Wow.
Adam Yelch.
Yeah.
Sorry if I mispronouncing stuff. That was at Snowboard, and we caught the the gondola up to the top, and he just got off in the one before us, and he goes, let's just pretend. He said, oh yeah, come on guys, I'll show you down this run, and took us on a run down the thing.
And you were a Beastie Boys fan?
We might have been just stalking him at the time.
Were you a Beastie Boys fan at the time?
Took off.
Yeah.
What sort of music were you sort of, were you digging on at that stage, or, from your skate life?
Well, I'll step back a bit and go, at first I classified myself as sort of punk. I listened to punk music.
Yeah.
Probably, Davo's influence. He was, had all the music, and listened to the Dead Kennedys and whatever. We'd go to gigs. Go to gigs at the East Richmond Hotel or somewhere down near the station. Maybe East Richmond.
Yeah.
They were advertised as underage gigs, but they weren't actually underage gigs. You just could get in.
There's a big fight with the Skins and the Punks, and
that day.
There's a lock-in, and
Oh, that's right. The Cosmic Psychos were playing, and there was one band playing, and it's like, oh, these guys are pretty cosmic. This must be the Cosmic Psychos. And it's like, oh no, they weren't the Cosmic Psychos. And then another band played, and they were pretty psycho. They must have been the Cosmic Psychos. Nah, that wasn't them. And then I think they played last, and it turned out the Cosmic Psychos, and they weren't really cosmic or psycho at all, really. But they were doing their stuff. And then there was a big fight.
It's Aussie bogans, really, aren't they?
Yeah. But we learnt how to. They call it moshing now, but slam dancing at the time, and that was really cool. Like, this scary slam dancing thing, but then you fell over. It's like, oh fuck, I've fallen over, and then someone's grabbed your arm and pulled you back up, and you were going again. And it's like,
it was a real community thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I remember the same thing when I first, went to, I think it was a Vicious Circle gig or something.
Yeah.
And being scared shitless and going in, and you go, oh shit, and you fall down, and you think you're going to get stomped into the ground, and next thing you know, some guys got their arm around you, and they're throwing you back into the pit,
Yeah.
And
so what were we talking about?
you're talking
music.
About Adam Yaunch, and I segued straight into the music.
Yeah, because that's right. I was saying that I was into punk rock, and like there was other kids at Sindel Tech, they were into metal. That was a completely different thing. We were into punk, they were into metal.
Yep. Yeah, that's the same at our school.
And then there was a lot of riders, and people were into hip hop and stuff like that, and I was definitely not into hip hop. I was into punk.
Yep.
And hip hop and stuff was completely different. Beastie Boys, wasn't into it. And then at some point, Check Your Head came out.
Yeah, it was a bit late, yeah.
And then I embraced Beastie Boys then. Or before that, you probably had Paul's Boutique on a tape.
Oh yeah.
And that got a bit of...
when we were going to...
You used to get thrashed in your car on the way up.
Festival Hall, yeah, and seeing Helmet and the Beastie Boys do a gig together, and then we went from there, I think, straight to...
That would have been like 92?
House or something, and we went up the next morning.
Blackburn or something?
Yeah, snowboarding after that. So.
Yeah. And that was like the first time Beastie Boys came out. I don't know if it was with Helmet or not, but it was about 92, wasn't it? Like around that era.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And that's, you were talking about the, your Blackburn Roadhouse, and that was around the time you met your partner at the time, wasn't it? Yeah, 92. Was it Nikki? Yep.
Yeah.
And
ended up getting married.
Yep. You got married to her.
Yeah. For the first time.
Yeah. You did a fair bit of travelling and stuff with her as well.
Yeah. Went overseas. Did some snowboarding at in Canada. Got a work visa. Okay. Went over there. Served coffee and crappy food in a thing at the bottom of a ski run.
Was that where you were doing the dog sled thing for a little bit too?
Yeah, well, went down to Fernie and the car broke down, and rang up someone back at work and said, oh, we're not going to make it back in time, and then got back to work and turned up for work, and the guy said, you've got the sack because you didn't turn up for work. And I was devastated, took my pass off my neck at the same time. I was like, oh fuck. And that was, and then a bit depressed, saw a job as a dog musher.
Awesome.
And went, oh, I could do that. Wrote him a letter, said, I know nothing about dog mushing, but I like the outdoors and I like animals, and the guy rang me up and said, when can you start?
Yep.
So I took people on dog mushing tours.
Yeah. And what did you actually have to do for that?
You turn up about 7, you get all the dogs from their individual huts and load them up in the truck and drive up the top of the hill and get them ready, and the dogs loved it. Like, you load up 8 dogs. You had to work out which dogs could lead. Not every dog would want to lead the front or would have the confidence.
I suddenly realised you weren't as good at dogs as you thought you were.
Yeah, well, they told me not to put my hand near the dogs' mouths when they were fighting, but the one time I was trying to separate 2 dogs that were fighting and stuck my hand in there, and like they were biting each other, and had my thumb pinned into it.
Oh,
And I was like, and I kind of pulled it out and like, slashed it open. Still a bit of a scar on there.
Yeah. And how long did you do that for, like, while you were there?
It's probably only a month or something like that until the end of the snow season.
Pretty interesting job.
It was cool, one of the coolest jobs.
Yeah. I remember getting the postcard from you, and I was like, oh, how does even someone fall into a job like that, you know? Like,
Yeah, you just send them a letter. So,
Yeah.
I don't know anything about the job.
I like to do it.
Yeah, that's cool. And also too, when you were over there, you mentioned to me in that postcard something about woofer or something like that.
I did woofing, like willing workers on organic farms.
Okay.
So went around to like people's houses who had sort of, semi-farms, or one was a farm out there, and you just do work and they give you accommodation and food.
Okay.
So kind of the hippie scene, not complete hippies, but sort of farmsteaders and things in all through British Columbia. I went to a whole bunch of different people.
So when you do it for these people, were they making the profit off the farm and stuff like that? Probably.
They were kind of just people who had some rooms or could look after people, and probably were friendly people and wanted to, will put people up. So it was a way of travelling around the country and meeting people. And
was that sort of the start of like your environmental sort of things that you were interested in, or I know you've always been sort of?
I reckon it kind of was a big thing I learnt while I was over. I went to a workshop while I was woofing. I went to a talk about cob building which was like a form of building mud houses, so
It's always been. I remember we used to go camping up to Arraganoo.
Yeah.
And we were 18 or something like that. And you spent half a day making this mud pizza oven.
Yeah.
We were sitting around drinking that. What's he doing? And then once it was made, it was unreal. We were cooking all sorts of things in it. But even back then, you would.
Yeah, so I must have learnt that overseas. I went and did a week-long workshop.
How to make slurries.
Yeah, building cob houses at someone's place, and then got a job doing a mud render on some rich guy in Colorado's straw bale house, and got.
And that was with you and Nikki were there?
Yeah, yep. Yeah. All of that stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, we were doing that. And so it was a great adventure.
Yeah. And how long were you away for? Like
just under 12 months. So I had a 12-month working visa, but all that mud stuff, ended up was in the US as went down to Mexico.
Yep.
As well, travelled through there.
And were you skating as well while you were or was that?
I took a skateboard, but
it's on the back burner a bit, or?
Yeah, it was on the back. I met Mike Ranquet.
Oh yeah. Nice.
In snowboarding, and he was like, "Yeah, I've got a ramp. You should come back through, Seattle and look me up." But I kind of ditched all my skateboard gear and stuff, and my snowboard stuff. I just didn't want to lug it around.
No, fair enough.
While I was travelling, and sent that home. But I did skate a ramp in Vancouver, an indoor ramp there. I was like, I'm from Australia.
Was that the skate ranch, or was it the Kevin Harris one, or?
I don't know who it was, but they were like, Jason Ellis had been there, the year before. It's like, oh yeah, I know Jason Ellis, and they're like, oh, fucking Jason Ellis. Sorry, Jason. Yeah. But I was trying to just go, oh yeah, I grew up in the same town.
Yeah.
But it was that was a good ramp. But yeah, I was sort of didn't skate as much.
Yeah.
Like then I remember this funny thing for the first time. You get so excited driving up the hill. Look, there's snow. How awesome is that? And it was almost it was near the end of the winter in Canada, and the snow was starting to melt in the streets, and spring was happening. I was kind of getting a bit excited about spring, and then I woke up one morning and walked out, and it was, you know, minus whatever again, and everything was covered in fresh snow, and I was so bummed.
Yeah.
And I was surprised. Oh, I've never been bummed out about there being snow on the ground before. I think I was kind of a bit over it.
I can relate to that. My Canada season was similar. I got to, by spring, I'd done 100 and something days, and I was like, you know, I'm actually wanting some sun, wanting some skateboard time, wanting to walk on a street that I'm not slipping, you know, going arse over tit, you know? So,
Yeah. Did that happen to you, Davo, when
Yeah.
you went?
Yeah.
I had a job for the year. It was in the signage department at Blackcomb, and they said you can continue to work and they'll sponsor me and stuff. And it's just the spring come around and it's the sun and everything was too much. Yeah, let's come home.
Yeah.
So you did a year overseas too, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't quite manage to all go at the same time, but anyway.
Wasn't great planning, was it?
No.
To be fair.
I got the cash from the finger that got me over there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
combo.
I didn't know you got cash for that.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
But I didn't get any cash when the Nargan cut off my finger.
I got to join. I really got to join.
They pay per joint.
Yeah. Cool. I'll take it off at the hand.
I could have tried to sue the Scouts, but
Yeah, you can't.
it's too much of a good story, and the value I get out of telling the story about it, you know,
Yeah.
it's priceless.
So, and what year was that you were overseas, like roughly? That 90...
93 or 4 or something
Yeah.
like that. I'd done a season at Hotham before that.
How many seasons did you do at Hotham?
Just one.
I thought
That
that
was
was
the-
95.
Yeah, it's probably 95 then. You and Davo would come up
Yeah.
and stay in our place.
Yeah, I remember that. Many times.
It's a whole
And
other
we-
series.
Yeah.
We used to charge you to come and stay in our house. Fucking hell.
No, that's fair.
Anyway.
You're paying fair whack.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
And we were pretty annoying.
Extremely.
Oh, it was good.
Uh,
It was good.
yeah. And, you know, like while we're on the travel subject and that, was that around the time that you went to, like a couple times, you know, you went over to, I think Adelaide was a bit before that, wasn't it?
Oh, that would have been before that, yeah. First trip to Adelaide was on the overnight train with Mick Sanders.
Yeah.
I went over one time. There was some photographer there. We stayed at his house and took us around to all these different ramps and stuff like that. It was good. I didn't do much travelling as a skater, but you know, you were sure welcome. Oh, you're skateboarders, come stay with us.
Yeah. Because I think too, the first time that I went to Adelaide and you were over there, it was with Melissa.
Yeah,
Yeah, she came over and you guys,
yeah.
like, I think I went over with Harmer and all that and we thing, but yeah, was there anything that
It was skated with Hans, and
yeah,
that's when we would have met Hans and Mike and
yeah,
all of that. Yeah.
Buzz and all that crew?
Met one of those times that we went over too, I think we were skating with a really young man-child, Dorfus.
Yes. Yes.
Some little kid
Yeah.
who was really good at the time. I think he was sponsored or something.
Yeah, yeah. He was very small at that time, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually forgot that he was part of that.
I didn't later on. Oh, the Dorfus guy. Oh, that kid.
And Pat Rhodes too.
Yeah.
So, like young Pat Rhodes, that was pretty amazing too. But yeah, like any stories from that trip? Like it was.
Well, we got to skate the Capo Scum Pool.
Yeah, that was amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Tell us about that. Like, tell us how, you know, was it like how'd you get there? What was the gist of that whole thing?
Well, I can't. I don't know. I just remember the skateboarding bits. I remember skating it and just got to skate it like we'd seen in the magazines from 540 or something like that.
Yeah.
Beautiful, big pool.
Huge, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Big transitions, lots of vert, lots of space.
Lots of things that you could go over to.
Yeah.
Stairs and under diving boards.
I don't remember what did or anything in it, but I just remember skating it and just the privilege to be skating in an awesome pool for me.
Yeah, we got to swim it the year later too.
Went back a year later after a night out, some doof kind of thing or something like
I
that.
mentioned that in my interview too.
At 5 o'clock in let's go to the Capo Scum Pool.
Yeah.
Nah, it's full of water. There's no point. No, we're going to the Capo Scum Pool. Did we swim in it? I
Yeah,
think
we
so.
did. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was with the picture that I was mentioning with your sliding down the slide.
Yeah,
You always said there was a.
that my dick wasn't hanging out
Yeah.
in the picture.
You said it was
and you seem to think it was.
I was just trying to big you up, you know.
Yeah,
So
thanks, man.
that's all right. So yeah, and tell us about the Hotham season. Like, so you went up there. There was 2 rooms, wasn't there? There was like.
Oh, there was the wall ride room.
Yep.
Down the bottom with Marty and MC, bunch of other Marty Carstairs, the photographer, was down there.
Custodies.
Custodies.
Yeah.
Handbrake Brad, was he out there?
Yeah.
I think Handbrake was there. Yeah, he was for
Yeah.
sure. I don't know what room.
Oh, that's
he was
right.
in.
Because I remember Jingle Wrist. that's a story that can't go on air.
Yeah, so that was the Wall Riders Mount Hotham kind of attempted takeover. Not that we were trying to take over, we were just there to have fun, and we just knew that Hotham was the place to be. Like, what mountain are we going to go to? There was no question but to go to Hotham because it was cool.
And obviously,
for
when
us.
you're staying up there, because skating was still probably on the back burner a little bit because.
Yeah, well, skateboarding, it was around that time when skinny boards had come in, and boards were narrow and expensive, and they broke when you tried to do kickflips, learning how to do kickflips and landing on the back trucks. Oh, I just snapped a board. It just cost me $120.
Yeah.
How disappointing. Oh, wheels were small.
Yep.
Oh,
It was a horrible era for
wheelbases were short.
I remember how small the wheels got, and I was just, I'm with you on that.
Yeah,
So,
Hands got bigger.
we hung
It's
in.
got smaller.
We hung in there.
shame
though.
while it's got long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just quit.
Yeah. So then after you did the 95 season up there, what you came back and back to skating, back to, what did you do, another season? Or?
I then went to Canada, did a season there,
Yep.
and then I don't think I went and did a season at the Snow again after that.
No.
But I'd done a season a couple of years before at Thredbo actually. That was that really bad year where it hardly even snowed. But at least Thredbo we had snow. It's a bit higher.
You had a bit of an accident at Thredbo, didn't you? in your car?
Yeah. So I had a job washing dishes in the kitchen as a dish dog.
Yep.
Or dish pig, either. Left home late, fell asleep at the wheel, woke up on the wrong side of the road, pointing off the opposite side, and went, ah! And braked into the embankment, stacked up Nicky's car.
Wow.
Peter Casardi, Gons was up there. He fixed it for me,
Yeah.
got it back on the road.
So if you went
Yeah.
the other side, would you have gone off the edge, or was it both embankments?
Well, it was just lucky. Like I said at the start, I've been pretty lucky. Was lucky, just skidded into the embankment and smashed the wheel.
Yep.
A bit like the Volkswagen in the car park, so I just bent it sideways again.
That was just hilarious, though. That's cool. So and then after that, like I remember I left in like '97 to go overseas. So there's a big period here where I'm just gonna let you run with, what was happening in that era for, so I was away for 6 years, so can't really remember what was going on skate-wise, snowboard-wise. Well,
yeah, maybe I wasn't skating that much. I was always a skateboarder, and maybe part of that time there was, Wednesday nights at the shed.
Yep.
I was probably over living in Coburg or something like that, and we'd drive over to Chris and Brad's house, and then we'd drive to the shed and skate with Chipmunk and maybe Justin.
And who was
Maybe.
ripping in those years, sort of thing?
We didn't see that much other people skating really. We were just
Just the Vermont crew?
just skating with the people who skated vert. I mean, I'm sure Renton Miller and those guys, and and is that when Tuss and Ben were overseas
I think so, yeah.
winning world championships
Yeah, it
and
was.
stuff like that? But that was way overseas. We didn't even know what was going on really.
No. But I remember Brad and Chippy especially, I was getting sort of mail from, seeing stuff that they were doing, and I was pretty...
Yeah, they were into it. They were right into it.
I was blown
I'd
away.
come out every now and then and skate with them.
Because, I remember around at the time that I went away, you probably weren't skating as much as earlier years, you know, like you sort of.
Nah.
So,
And, you know, you're probably skating about as much as I skate nowadays.
okay.
You know, just when I come to town
Yep.
and can find a vert ramp or a vert bowl,
Yep.
something that's easy to skate,
Yeah, and
less dangerous.
so are you still entering comps in those times? Like, you know, if they came up, you know?
If there was a comp, I'd go in it.
Yeah.
Just comp's a good excuse to skate with other people, you know.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. I definitely enjoy the pre-skate thing. I don't like the actual comps themselves.
Yeah, that's the first ramp ride in Torquay. I went in that competition
Yep.
with Tony Hawk. Oh no, that wasn't the first ramp ride.
No,
But
that would
I
have
went. That was the second one.
Yep.
But
Lee Ralph
when in
won
the
the first, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yep.
Went in the first one. Did you go in that comp?
Yeah.
As well. Yeah, we just go in the comp. I remember turning up. It's an international skateboard competition.
Did you have to pay like $20 or something?
$5.
Yeah, it was in a heat against Tony Hawk. He's been a hero. It's like
Yeah.
playing
on the-
basketball with Michael Jordan or something.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nuts.
that was cool, and they just let any little kid enter the competition. It was cool. But I guess some people were daunted and didn't go in the comps and stuff like that. But were just like, oh yeah, we can sign up. $5. That's
How'd you go in that, Davo? No 6-6 Sputnik.
Yeah, similar.
Yeah.
Similar outcome. Yeah.
I got a photo from the first one
Yep.
that
Those are-
David Pang.
Oh, that's a
came
great
up.
photo.
Unreal.
That's by this famous Australian skateboarder, photographer and skateboarder, David Pang. I've written something on the back. Luke Foster, 88, ramp riot, Torquay, skating in the same heat as Hawk, Sergi Ventura, etc. Ran into Mick Mulhall and broke his jaw.
What happened there? I was there watching that, and I remember. Tell us a little story about that.
Well, as snake sessions are, everyone wants to have a go. It's probably the warm-ups, I'm guessing, for the before the heat. Quite often 2 people would drop in at the same time. Mick dropped in one side, I dropped in the other side at the same time. Because someone else had dropped in, I did a rock and roll sort of and just came back straight in my line. But Mick did an air that sort of carved across the ramp, and we just met at the flat, and I just I think I went like that,
Yep.
But his jaw hit my shoulder. We bounced and spun around, and his jaw broke, and he got taken off, and I was like, oh no! And I think I thought it was Sergi Ventura.
Mm-hmm.
I think I thought I'd, oh no, I've hurt one of the pro skateboarders. What am I doing here?
Yeah.
And Gregor Rankin's coming up to me going, yeah man, that's fucking awesome. You show those Sid breads, blah blah blah. I'm like,
Yeah, I remember Gregor and Lee doing that. I thought that was it's pretty sensitive to the whole thing, but
yeah.
So obviously there's a rivalry there between them and that. So.
Yeah.
Have you met Mick since? Or?
Yeah, I have. I talked about it, and he was like, oh, was that you, was it? Oh, whatever.
He didn't even remember.
Yeah, I didn't know it was me. I mean, I was a nobody really, so well, why would he? Probably just some kid who had got in his way.
Yeah.
Sounds like he needs another one to remember.
Yeah, it's just
Nah, he's a good guy.
it's like coming through. Remember this elbow.
Don't mess with Vermont.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, staying on the competition thing, like, like from then, and like, I mean, Bolaramas and stuff like that started up. I'm not even sure what year the first Bolarama and all that started, but
I wasn't at the first one, but then
you've been in.
At some point, I went up, started going up, and because they started sort of like the old guys kind of things, and they had a special event for us old people.
Yep.
It started off at about 30.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's like, oh yeah, I'm over 30. I qualified for that, and then they'd push it up to 35. And it's like, hey, I'm 36. How cool! And then later on, they'd push it up to 40. It's like, hey, I'm 41.
You
And
really
then
need to do this
Yeah, it's,
Judging.
I don't know. They were trying to
It's
weed.
conveniently kept.
I was just in
creeping
that.
up a year every time.
I was in that sweet spot where every time they put it up 5 years, you know, I was just 1 year in, and you know, and the last time it was 45, and it's like, I remember Renton Miller rang me up and he's like, "Oh, Luke, so yeah, how's it going? Da da da." It's like, "Oh, how old are you?" And it's like, and so I'd check, so I'd kind of go, "Oh yeah, it's 2006, so I'm something 6, I reckon I'm 46. And he's like, "Oh really? 46? Oh yeah, you can go into the
over 46 in 3 months.
over 45s."
Yeah.
And then, you know, the week later I got an email from Sasha and an invite to go to Bowlerama. I think they were like, they'd put it up and then they were looking around, "Oh shit, who's actually 46 and can ride a
Who
skateboard?"
are you skating against?
Oh, the usual,
that up.
Hawk and stuff like that, the normal people we skated
It's got
against.
to be international, man.
Yeah. Leicester and all that.
Yeah. And
What
like,
about Aussies though? Who was?
oh, we'll see, I think
Luxford.
there's Luxford, but he's a year younger than me, so he would be, for a while there, he would either be in it or out it. You know, he's one of my favourite skateboarders.
Oh yeah, he's amazing.
And amazing. So he was on the cusp of either being in the Masters or not. But you know, there was a stage there early on where he would be in the Opens and be in the finals anyway.
Yeah. And ABC was around that time too. They would do
Yes.
it 1 week apart, wouldn't they?
Yeah, the Australian Bowl Riding Championships. So yeah, it's just, you know, I lucked out, was just old enough, and
I'm not sure if you lucked out. You're
No,
fairly.
who's that
Versed in-
Australian Olympic ice skater who was a speed skater?
I don't think you can say you're Stephen Bradbury.
Yeah, no, I'm not that good. He was an Olympic athlete. But you know, all of the other people fall off, and then you're just still there.
Stephen Bradbury.
I'm not sure about that, Luke, but yeah.
And you know, it was in a slow motion version of that. Like everyone's like given up or injured or, you know, can't skate anymore, and you're still there skating. It's like, hey, look at me.
Very humble. Very
Yeah,
humble.
I mean, I can ride a skateboard, and you know, I'm pretty good at it, and I should be after riding for 35 years or whatever it is. But you know, I'm no Adam Luxford or some of the other great Australian skateboarders. But you know, it doesn't matter. It's all open the door, allow me to go in a comp, and I'll go in the comp, and
Yep.
I'm kind of competitive. In my head, like I want to try, I want to show off as best I can, and yeah, I love it.
Just, I didn't want to really touch on it too much, but in about, I think it was like 2004, 2005, your marriage when you were with Nikki, you guys parted ways. Was that roughly around that time?
Yeah, maybe a bit later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And from there,
That was during Paran was happening.
Yep.
The new Paran ramp.
Yep. And what did you do from there? Where'd you go live? What was your
Well, that was, you know, when you're going through a tough time, you know, skateboarding was there for me, and I really kind of embraced that. It's like all of a sudden Luke's at the skate ramp every night.
Yeah.
And and he's hanging out with us when we go to the pub afterwards and drinking milk. That's weird. You know, normally, not the milk bit, that was normal for me.
Yep.
But normally he just goes straight home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
So it's kind of, you know, you fall back on things that you know, and
Did that give you skating a boost as well? Like,
yeah.
obviously spending that time on the.
I think I was already getting psyched on it because Paran had a really good vert skating scene.
Yep.
People were happy to have me there. Hey, look, this dude does hand plants. Back that trick from the 80s still.
Yeah. And who was skating the new Paran ramp at that stage?
Renton. You know, there's Jussi from Finland
Jussi
was
Kornhola.
over, and there was Jamie Kennedy.
Yep.
Cranimal.
Yeah.
Animal.
Yeah, this young kid.
Son
Apparently
of Animal.
he skated again.
No.
Started skating again. Like he's on at
Cool.
Noble on Wednesday apparently.
Yeah, rad.
So that's good news.
Yeah, he ripped, and you know, a bunch of other people. Great scene, you know, Flazza.
Yeah.
Uh,
I was hoping you were going to say Flaz because I was going to say because Flaz obviously runs and owns Device. How long was it before you started riding for Device, and then from then to having a pro model on device?
I'm not sure exactly, but you know, Tom said at one point, it's like, I want you to ride my boards, and it's like, yeah, I'd love to. You know, it ticks all my boxes. Sometimes, you know, getting sponsored can be awkward because you're, oh, do I have to promote this person? Do I have to, you know, do I have to fill my Instagram feed with me saying how awesome this product is? Or
Yeah.
well, I've never been that good at that, and you know, it's just like, it's an Australian board company. It's a dude who's been skating as long as I have.
It's one of your good friends.
From Melbourne, you know. I'd love to, and I did, and he gave me blank boards to skate. He'd, you know, hand press them himself and put carbon fibre in between it. And what shape do you want? It's like, just give me the Shawnee shape, you know.
Okay.
And
What's a Shawnee shape?
just one of our mates. So Shawnee was skating at Paran at the time. It was just a paddle pop stick, which I hated at one point. But it turns out it's the most functional skateboard shape you can get, and I can't even ride those old boards anymore.
No, they seem like tugboats.
But Tom would give me a nice long wheelbase, something that suits me.
Tom's always been doing a lot for the skate community, and you know, like especially in Melbourne alone, but you know, like probably Australia wide, you know.
Yeah.
So, well, whether it be ramps or boards or just generally,
Yeah.
fairly knowledgeable.
Lives it, breathes it,
Yeah.
loves it.
Yeah, great guy.
I'd like to think that I encouraged him to do a graphic for me and my own board by, like, he'd give me a blank board to ride and I'd draw my own graphics on it.
Okay.
Or paint my own graphics on the board, you know, and just do a big device and do a picture or something like that. And
What sort of pictures were you drawing at that stage?
it was just a straight device. I just copy, you know, his sticker or something like that and paint it full size on it. And then I did this other graphic which was into vert, so I got a level, painted my Stabila level on the
Okay.
bottom of it, so the little bubble was between the lines. It was actually vert, you know, this is vert skateboarding, and wrote device skateboards. And
Who did the graphics on your board? Who drew it?
well, Tom did on my, and well, just to finish that story, and I think, you know, Tom's a bit of a perfectionist, and maybe he didn't like the graphics that I was just doing myself, or I don't know. And so then he came up with a graphic and put my name on the bottom of it, and came up with a tribute model, the Luke Foster tribute model.
Is there a bit of, I got one at home, a bit of Jeff Phillips about it? Like,
Well, Tom sent it to me and I thought, yeah, that's rad. It looks a bit like the Jeff Phillips earthquake, what I call the earthquake model. And he was like, but to him it wasn't that. It was, so Tom just sent me the graphic. Here's your graphics with your name. It was all done, complete. The first thing I saw of it was it was done. Even the idea that I was going to get a board with my name on it. But I thought it was Jeff Phillips, but apparently it was the Pool Full flipped around, the Veriflex Pool Full, which ironically I thought was one of the most stupidest boards I'd ever seen when it first came out.
So your pro model
Pool
became
Full.
the stupidest board that you've ever seen.
Yeah, and you know, a
Ironically.
picture of me doing a hand plant in the pool kind of thing. So yeah, but it was
these are the pipes, I'll call it the throwback to the plumbing. And,
plumbing, yeah,
I thought
like
it was
it makes...
Jeff Phillips. I thought you had something to do with it all and told it mixed.
No, but you know, Tom's a bit of a genius. I don't know whether he worked it out or just channeled it psychically or something like that.
He's done some great graphics. The Jaffa ones,
Yeah.
I mean, it's obvious, but it's incredible. Like the board is just Jaffas. It's
Yeah, Tom lives it, breathes it, loves it.
Yeah,
You know, you can see it in whatever he does.
yeah. And from there, did you get on Thieve as well, or was that like a flow, or was it like a full sponsorship, or what was it?
It's a flow thing.
Yeah.
A friend, I remember a friend, Trevor Ward, telling me once that we've got this new skateboard truck that's going to revolutionise skateboard trucks. I'm like, yeah, sure thing, Trev. I'm talking shit. And then 12 months later, I actually saw it, and it's a complete titanium hanger, super light, super strong, and I'm like, you were fucking right, Trev. That does revolutionise skateboard, for someone like me at least anyway, the lightest, strongest,
Yeah.
best truck you could have. Yeah, so, and I wanted one of them, so, you know, I rode, you know, got some trucks and rode some trucks and was kind of just, I should have just asked, but I was just sort of like hoping that I'd get one eventually, and then years later I got a set and I was like, oh, you're on Thief, or like, you know, Flow, whatever, I don't know.
Yep.
I don't go through that many trucks,
No.
so it's pretty good, great deal for me.
I hate changing trucks, so yeah, I get it.
All right for Thief.
Yeah. And what year did you, like, you obviously met your current partner around, I would assume around a couple of years after that, like 2007, 2008, something like that. I don't know, like the
2007.
It was when you met Colleen?
Yeah, at the Paran ramp.
Okay, yeah. And I mean, I remember her skating from back in the day and stuff, vaguely.
I'm vaguely do as well, but we never really crossed paths until then, like, you know,
And
for a long time, until I was, oh, who's this chick at the skate park?
yeah. And
Caught my attention.
yeah, and like, and how long did it take before you guys were like an item?
Pregnant.
Sure, why not?
You cut the edit that
Yeah.
Yeah, full load. We were, I don't know, we were just hanging out.
It was like
I
someone
invited her on a date. It's like, hey, do you want to go mountain bike riding? I'll come and pick you up at 7 o'clock on a Sunday morning. We'll go mountain bike riding. She was like, yeah, cool.
Smooth.
Yeah.
Nice.
That was probably our first date.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing leads to another.
Yep.
Um,
And at that time, was Colleen living in Melbourne as well, or was she living?
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah, she was living in Melbourne, teaching at a school, living in Brighton.
Yep.
Yeah, just doing her stuff, doing her film stuff.
Yep.
Mm.
And how long was it before you guys decided to make the move down Port Fairy way?
Well,
Is that where you first moved? Sorry, I might.
Yeah, we moved to Warrnambool. Like, Colleen was like, you know, Colleen was pregnant. She wanted to move to Warrnambool, just so we're going to do that for a year. So we moved down there. Just before Fred was born. So
Yep.
Fred's 11, so it's about 11 and a half years ago.
Okay. Yep.
Been down there quite a while now.
Yeah.
Not a local. I'm just a blow-in still. I've only been there 11 years.
Yeah. So when you first moved there, I remember going to your house and stuff like that down there, and I actually think it. Well, explain the whole birthday, wedding, celebration thing.
Oh, so it was Colleen's 40th, and
Is there a theme or anything to it?
it was what was the theme? It was a no talent show theme.
I thought it was 80s.
It was an 80s dress up, but it was
Yeah.
also a no talent show. So you had
That's
to do a
right.
no talent act.
That's right.
So if you had something that you weren't very good at, you needed to do that.
Yep.
Colleen had worked out this great plan. She's a great director of filming stuff and put people in the right positions and everything like that. And we did this act, which was Scott and Charlene from Neighbours, because we were both dressed as 80s bogans, sort of fitted in, and we were going to reenact the engagement scene from Neighbours, Scott and Charlene.
Yep.
And so we did that, and then my brother gets up there and he goes, "Oh, is this for real? Is this a real engagement?" And we're like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, we've got everyone here. Why don't you get married?" And it's like, people were laughing. "Why don't we do it now?" And then he yells out, "Oh, have we got a celebrant in the house?" And this lady puts up her hand. "Yeah, I'm a celebrant. I'll do it." And
Did you set up at all? Or?
yeah, it was a complete setup.
Oh,
But none of us knew.
But almost no one knew except for the people who were, you know, like.
Because I remember you grabbed me and Ben Latimer and you said, "Come over," and I was shitting myself because I went, "I don't want to do the talent show. I don't want to do the talent
I was
show."
like, "Steve, you're going to be a part of this talent show."
Yeah, and I was like, "I don't want to do the talent show."
what was your act going to be?
Oh, it wasn't going to be one. I didn't have one. That's why I didn't
His
want to
act
do it.
was he was going to be one of the best men, but he didn't know it yet.
Yeah, so yeah, when he got us over, and then I'm like watching him do the Neighbours thing.
How do I fit into this?
I'm like, this is weird, and I don't know whether I should back away or run away. You know, like,
And then and we had Colleen had the DJ organised. At this point you're going to play, Shotgun Wedding by Billy Idol. It's going to come on over. And some people were like 20 minutes, half an hour. Is this still just some stupid act or whatever? And some people were like, no, they're getting married for real.
I remember when the song came on too, and I was all in my Kiss makeup and stuff. Yeah, and we were all just up on the dance floor.
Oh, what was that song? That was the dance. What was it? I Was Made for Loving You or something like that.
Yeah, so...
Yeah. That was all, Colleen had worked it all out.
Yeah.
The great director, had all the props
it
and
was fantastic.
Everything together.
But that whole night was
good fun.
It was amazing. We went there as, thinking it's a 40, we were going to have a ball.
Yeah.
And then it became that, and it was just like, it's like the party upped about 50%, everyone was in...
Yeah, you didn't have to think, I'm going to a wedding, I better take this, I better that, and I better dress up neat and put on a tie or anything like that. It took that out of it for everyone, took it away for us as well, and it was good fun. Yeah,
without a doubt, it's probably one of the best weddings I've been to, just for the sake of the spontaneity, and like you said, there wasn't like, I got to put my suit on. And
best wedding I've ever had.
It's great. And then when you were down at Warrnambool too, you had a mini ramp in your backyard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Built a mini ramp. I always wanted a mini ramp in my backyard. It took me about 15 or 20 years to finally do it.
Yep. And
it's good fun.
You made your own pool coping too?
Yeah. That's part of my thinking. I should make a mini ramp rather than just doing it. Nah, maybe I should make have pool coping as well, and that's why it takes me 20 years to get something done.
It's like make a mould and pour your own concrete.
Yeah, it's like, how am I going to make a mould? I'll get some sheet metal and get it rounded up and put some bits of wood on the side and
did it work out?
Pour one block. Yeah,
came out really nice.
Oh, like that. Okay, so how do you make hard concrete? You got to research that on the internet. Ask people. I don't know. Just put more cement in. Oh no, that's not enough.
So just for the people who don't know, explain the process of building a good pool coping block.
Well, as far as I know, and I'm no expert on this, so you want, let's say 2 parts aggregate, 1 part sand, 1 part cement. So your normal basic concrete's 4-2-1. Yeah, so you're doubling the amount of cement that you put in.
Yep.
I don't think any more cement would be any advantage.
Yep.
So 2 aggregate, 1 sand, 1 cement. I put some silica fume into the cement.
That's what I was going to ask you about.
Which is just super fine particles. So you got your aggregate, bits of sand, and the cement in between that, and the silica fume in between the tiny particles of the cement makes it more dense.
Very clear, like a clean sand, or was it a?
I just went and got some concrete sand. So different size particles.
Yeah.
So you want to, so that way you can get it dense as possible. Then you mix it with as little water as possible.
Yep.
You can do more water into the cement, makes a weaker mix.
Okay.
So just enough water to form a paste.
Yep.
Then you need to vibrate it as much as you can to get all the bubbles out.
How many moulds did you have?
1.
You mixed batches each time, little batches?
Make one. Yeah, make a batch, vibrate it, do everything. Wait.
How would you
wait for a day?
What would you use to vibrate it? Like a sander or something?
I got suitcase.
You got a hammer drill, and put it on.
Bouncing down the road.
Put it on the just hammer and go on the side of it. I mean, if you had a vibrating table kind of thing, it'd probably be better. But
yeah.
And if you had multiple moulds, you could do it better.
Shy on the grinds, all that work. Go easy.
No, it was a lot of work, but it was good.
And
it's one of those things you wanted to do, and eventually you do it.
And who was skating the ramp with you at that stage?
Red and Blue would come around a lot.
Abraham boys?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they were just young kids at the time, just super psyched on skateboarding.
That was the first time I met him at your house, and I just remember him like going, try this, and like we're going, I don't really want to try that, But yeah, it was good skating with them because it was,
Is that a card?
It is a card.
Birthday card.
What picture is that from, Luke, and whereabouts?
This is by, it says on the back, Al Miller, invert, from redbubble.com. I wonder if you can still buy it.
Redbubble?
It was just a photo sharing thing that people would put photos on, and you could get them printed on coffee cups or
Was this
whatever.
okay by you, or did you see a card one day with you on it?
Oh, it's okay by me. I love photos of myself.
But were you asked, did you want to be on a card?
Well, it was just up there. It was his photograph. I guess he can do whatever he wants with it.
It's a great picture.
So I love that photo because that is the first time, maybe the first time, or just after, that I've ever done a hand plant that's turned into an invert, what I call an invert, where you actually do a hand plant and you get on top of it and you actually stop for that moment, and you're like, holy fuck, I can feel all the weight of my body being supported by my arm, rather than how you're just sort of guiding through it. And I was like, oh my God, I'm doing an invert like the pros from the 80s.
And I'm on a card.
And whereabouts was that taken, Luke?
So that was at the Monster, no, not Monster, was it? What's that, sunglasses? Dragon ramp. So Trevor Ward's ramp.
Was that the one behind Torquay?
In Torquay,
Yeah.
behind Dragon in Torquay.
Did you go in any of those Torquay comps that they had there with the wheel and all that?
Yeah.
Okay, tell us about those, because that was
Well,
an interesting concept.
Before that, I think we'll call it this day, I grabbed red and blue out of primary school and said, oh, we're going to skate this ramp. It was the Creature guys were
It could be taken so badly out of context.
do it.
Yeah, I don't know about these red and blue guys, so I'm kind of...
They were twins,
concerns.
so it was easier to call one red and one blue because they
Their
dressed
helmets.
in red and blue.
And their helmets and that too, wasn't it?
Yeah, Billy and Jesse Abrahams.
And how old were they? When you
Primary school. So we pulled them out of school early, drove down to Torquay
Ripping
to,
skateboarders
to skate
Really
to
good.
skate this ramp with the trying to speak with the
creatures.
Creature guys. Thank you. And it mightn't have been exactly that time, but yeah, I remember doing inverts, and Jesse and Billy, one or both of them, dropped in on the vert ramp for the first time. Yeah, it was a good fun session.
That's cool.
And when you get old, you feel like you can sort of support the young kids somehow pass something on. So when they're ripping, you can go, yeah, I taught him how to drop in, taught him how to do a hand plant.
Yeah. I think too, the whole skating community too, like from young age to an old, you can still, you're on a very even playing field. Like it's not like, you're not seeing an 8-year-old football player talking to a 40-year-old football player, really, Whereas because their passion is exactly the same, I think it's,
Yeah, it's cool. I love it.
oh, it's great.
You see someone who's psyched about it, and you can see it, and you know it, and you're like, yeah,
Yeah,
this dude
you're exactly the same.
loves skating. I can see it. At whatever level they're skateboarding at, you can see it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if they're just doing tic tacs or thing. You see the glint, like this is my thing. This is what I want,
Yeah, and you're like, yeah, this dude is worth,
I always thought we were really lucky to get into skateboarding.
So lucky.
Sure.
It's just such good memories of awesome mates and great times, and just your life could have gone on another path.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Playing footy or something like that, and I guess that's why when you see young kids,
It's all
doing
encompassing.
sort of thing.
Yeah.
It encompasses everything too, like your musical taste, to your friends, to your
Oh yeah.
like your open-minded thinking. Like I reckon I would have been a lot more of a closed-minded thinker if I had gone down a different road. Whereas now I don't give a shit what anyone does.
Well, skateboarding when we started wasn't popular.
No.
It was.
I remember getting
It wasn't cool. It wasn't cool, and that's one thing that sucks about skateboarding nowadays. Is like you skate down the street past the shops, and someone looks up and they hear the da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and it's like, how cool's that? It's like a 40-year-old guy riding a skateboard. That's awesome. And you're like, like I remember when I was a kid, I used to be able to ride down the skateboard and go down the footpath and hear the da-da-da-da-da-da, and people are like, bloody skateboarders, get off the skateboard, go back to the skate park, and you could just get instant hate
and
just by riding a skateboard. You could piss people off. Nowadays, people think it's cool.
and you also got
You're only 17. You're too old for that.
Yeah.
Well, it was a brotherhood too when you would get on a bus or something, you'd look at someone's shoes and you're like, they're Chuck, you know,
You'd
Chuck
hear
Taylors.
it you'd hear a skateboard coming.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, jeez.
But you see like an ollie thing or like where they've, you know, like knee slid or something. And like, there'd be a look, you know, you go, I know, you know, we both skate.
Well, you could hear it. One time we was going to skate Beaumaris. Davo and I had a curriculum day off, skating down the street past the high school to the Beaumaris ramp. We must have caught a bus or something there. And next minute, like Chris Payne's there. Like we rode past his school.
Yeah, you were
where he was, and
amazing.
he would have heard skateboard wheels. Looked out the window, seen two skaters heading to the Beaumaris ramp, and then, busted out of school or whatever, and started skating with us.
That's awesome.
Remember that?
I don't recall that story.
Yeah. I do.
Yeah. So,
Your memory's a lot better than mine.
in parts.
we were talking like about Warrnambool and stuff like that, and you were saying, so roughly the years you went down. And Fred was born in what, 2008?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, tell us, about Fred. Tell us, has he got the same interests? What is, as a kid growing up and stuff like that? Is there Luke-isms in there? Is there Colleen-isms? Is there?
Yeah, everything.
Yep.
All of the above. Fred was born at home on the couch.
Yep.
It was a home birth with two midwives that.
Do you still have that couch?
Were lucky. No, it was on my grandmother's old couch too, actually. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Fred, he told us a while back. He told Colleen, he's like, look, Mum, Mum, I know you and Dad want me to skateboard, but I'm not going to skate. I don't skate.
That's cool, though.
And I was like, oh, we're not forcing you to skate. Just don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of funny.
You two would be the furthest from pushing anyone onto.
Nah, yeah, like I have enough trouble pushing myself to do anything, let alone try and push someone else.
Yeah.
Except,
Probably be really naturally gifted at it.
yeah, he stands on a skateboard and mucks around, but he's not, he may. Like when did we start skateboarding? 13 or?
Maybe about that, yeah.
Yeah, it's like he's not even 13 yet. He's got plenty of time.
Yeah.
Some people start, even later.
I think I remember when he was younger. I think it was one of not a Paran comp, and it started raining or whatever, and he was sitting with me, and then and Colleen was up on the platform or whatever, and as soon as it started raining, he came down, and then I think he started sliding on his belly on the ramp and that.
Yeah.
And you're going, oh, he's just my kid,
Yeah.
There's just mud and dirt and crap all over it.
Yeah, he's good. He loves it.
Yeah.
Loves nature, and as you're always training your kids somewhat.
Yep.
And even the way he rode a skateboard. First, he saw us and tried to stand on it. And then I remember one day at Paran in the basketball court, he worked out that he could kneel on his skateboard and push, and you didn't have to balance, and you could go so much faster and get around, and he would do that on the ramp at home, and
Yep.
I was like, that's cool, man, just do that. And I've never really, I just want him to explore skateboarding in whichever way he wants. Try and do this. No, man, just enjoy it. Do.
And does he do any? What's his hobbies like? Well, other things? He's playing any sport or?
Hey, he's not super sporty, but or a team sport kind of guy. But he likes to play a bit of cricket. He loves playing with other kids, doing whatever they're doing. But loves a bit of Minecraft, and I've had I got obsessed with video games at one point.
Yeah.
Not so much now, or not almost at all now.
You did?
Oh, I just liked watching TV, before skateboarding came around.
Yeah.
Used to get home from school, turn on the TV and just watch it until dinner time, and then watch some more and go to bed. And then I swapped skateboarding for TV. Come home, watch the Bones Brigade video show for an hour or for half an hour, and then go out and skate in the street.
So with you know, being down at the beach and stuff, like, well, I'm sorry, well, I mean,
Yeah, keep going.
yeah, you've been quite proactive in you and Colleen, like Colleen especially, cleaning the beach and things like that. Like,
Yeah.
like, tell me about that. Like, what?
The beaches are pretty nice down at Warrnambool. We've just got these wild ocean beaches and the waves crash into it, and it's pretty nice. So we went down there once and it looked like there was a truckload of chupa chup sticks washed up on the beach. And so, as you do nowadays, you take a photo of it and put it on Facebook, and it's like, hey, has anyone lost their container load of chupa chup sticks? We found them.
Yep.
Someone replied and said, they're not chupa chup sticks, you know, and you'd be disgusted if you knew where they came from. And they were like cotton bud sticks that had been flushed down the toilet through the sewage treatment plant and out onto our local beach.
Nurdles.
Yeah, and then there was a nurdle spill, and Colleen just, at the time,
What's a nurdle to anyone who doesn't know?
it's a pre-production plastic pellet, so it's the raw material after you've turned natural gas into a plastic or whatever that's
Well, they melt down, isn't it?
into a system that flows, you know, into a machine, and you can melt it and make it into anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so what happened with all of that? That keeps us busy cleaning the beach, well, we thought we'd just tell the people, oh, the stuff's coming out and go sort it out, fix up your thing, but that's been quite difficult, and it's led to still trying to stop plastic coming out of the sewage treatment plant, and it's just another trip that you delve down.
And Colleen's done a
Doing
few
stuff.
videos in regards to, you know, that sort of stuff, and she also, I mean, she does a lot of video production anyway, doesn't she?
Yeah, well, it's a skill and talent, and yeah. So at the time, Colleen, we found these. Colleen she started losing her balance, and then you know, she'd be walking along, and then she'd sort of stumble and bump into you, and she's like, oh, I don't know what's going on. I've lost my balance, and it turned out that she had a little tumour on the nerve from her ear going down, so that it was affecting her balance. So she could still ride a skateboard and ride a bike, but if she wasn't looking, like if she'd look down, you know, and doing something simple like walking, she'd lose her balance and couldn't work it out.
Okay.
So she was waiting for this brain surgery operation to take this thing out, and you know, this is a pretty scary time. You know, you're going to have brain surgery, you know, there's a 1% chance you're not going to make it through, which sounds pretty scary. You know, it's an 8-hour operation on your brain.
Yep.
Lots of things that could have happened, and none of that did happen. But Colleen was like, you know, before it was like, oh, well, you know, when you're looking at your life and what's happened, she's like, oh, well, at least I cleaned some stuff up off the beach. You know, and she grew up in South Warrnambool, and it was really important to her. You know, the beach, she loved it.
She like you is a very positive person too, though, isn't she?
Yeah.
So that's
You've
Yeah.
always been keen on protesting. You go up to like Pine Gap or somewhere, or
yeah.
Yeah, I went up to Jabiluka on a bus for the uranium mine up there. Went and busted into the Jabiluka mine when it was in construction with a whole bunch of other people, and got arrested, you know, to make a statement that we didn't want the uranium mine there.
Were you one of the ones that were chaining themselves or any of that, or was that?
Nah, that's pretty gnarly. doing that, just ran in there, you know, get arrested,
Yeah.
get fined, get some publicity about it.
So what sort of fine would it be a substantial fine?
Oh, it was $500, which is, you know,
reasonable, yeah.
yeah, it's reasonable, yes.
you get that into the US now if you got like that kind of.
I don't know. I'm sure. I think it was more just a fine. I don't think I was charged with any kind of criminal thing. I was heavily involved with forest blockades at Goolunguk in East Gippsland for a while. You know, I love trees, big trees, and you know, I also like disrespecting authority. So any chance where I can disrespect authority and have some moral reason to be doing that, it fits together and works well. So so sort of all that kind of stuff sort of fits together.
Yeah.
Environmental, you know,
And
annoying the police.
Yeah. What sort of outcome do you have? Like, do you know any of the big businesses or thing like that? Do they ever chime in on the nurdle debate or the, you know, cotton buds or this and that? You know, has there been any?
It's been like look, if it was up to me trying to stop, you know, this plastic pollution thing, you know, I would have given up about 8 weeks into it, you know. And I thought we'd pick up all the sticks within 8 weeks. The beach would be perfectly clean and be no problem, but it's obviously still coming out. And
going.
Yeah, and I would have lost attention. But Colleen's like, nah, this is my beach, and I'm gonna clean it up no matter what it takes. And yeah, so it's going to be done. Colleen's going to ban cotton buds, plastic stem cotton buds in Australia. And yeah.
So you think like the awareness is getting?
It's getting there. It's kind of an in thing, you know, in my little world of people picking up plastic off the beach and stuff all around the world. People are doing it and getting into it. And
well, I remember having a discussion with Colleen when I drove back from Torquay actually about toilet paper and people using like wet ones and that.
Man wipes.
Yeah, man wipes. And I was like, I said, I've actually heard of people doing that, and I said, I don't get it either because firstly, they don't flush properly.
Yeah.
And
they flush all right. But they just don't break down.
Yeah. Oh, they'll go down the toilet, like otherwise you wouldn't.
That's if it goes down the toilet, fine. Don't have to worry about it after that.
Yeah, that's sort of like the young kid sort of mentality. I'll flush me Hot Wheels car. Goes down, it'll be all right.
Yeah, cool. Let's find another one.
Yeah. So, well, that's awesome that you're still on the crusade.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's good. And, you know, it gives you something to do, something to think about, be creative about. Like I think I like to, you know, come up with different creative ways to get a message out somehow.
You touched on Colleen's, you know, with her ear and stuff like that. What's been the outcome of that? Like how is she now?
Well, she had the operation. It was all good, but you know, still has balance issues. It's hard to go out in a noisy environment because you get tinnitus builds up and stuff like that. So probably for her, spending a lot more time just walking on the beach and doing stuff like that is a more pleasant place to be than going out to see a band or so on where it's noisy.
Okay.
Do you think she was kind of lucky in a way that it touched on her ear?
Yeah.
That dizziness alerted you to it, or is it just gone unchecked?
Yeah, possibly. Because, I guess the operation didn't fix anything except it stopped her dying in 10, 15 years' time when it was too big and going to push on the brain and be too late. So lucky, yeah.
And you've obviously had a few health issues yourself.
Yeah, lucky Luke. So at the same time, at the same time all this was happening, I had a cancer growing in the back of my throat that I didn't know about. I got a swollen lump in my neck, and that was and I just thought, I got a lymph gland there that's a bit swollen because I'm a bit sick or something.
Did it affect your speaking or anything like that at that time?
Oh, not much, not really.
The reason I'm asking is so that if anyone else experiences
if you got a lump in your neck or a lump anywhere and it doesn't sort of go inflamed and then disappear like a lymph node should do, you know.
Yep.
If you're stupid like me and wait 12 months before you go to the doctor with a lump in your neck that stayed there, you've waited too long.
Yep.
And the first time I went to the doctor, I went, got this lump, and looked in the back of my throat, and it's like, it's a bit swollen there on your tonsils. You know, you've got infected tonsils, have these antibiotics. So I did that. That didn't work, and I went, these fucking doctors are stupid. You know, they don't know what they're doing, and didn't go back. But I should have gone, I'll go back to the doctor and say, I tried that, but that didn't work. What should we do next? And so it took me another 12 months to do that, and Colleen every now and then going, you really should get that thing in your neck checked out. So I eventually did, and they said, there's this risk, there's this rare kind of cancer, you know, you don't smoke, you don't drink much.
What's the cancer
but
called?
We'll check it out. It was an SCC, so I'll probably say it wrong, a squamous cell carcinoma. So the cancer was in the back of my throat. It was started by the human papilloma virus because it was P16 positive. I don't know what that means. So that's like you've got that virus in your body, and apparently people my age, 80% have got it in them anyway. And so then it started, so I was shitting myself at first. It's like, fucking hell, what a dickhead. I waited this long before I went to the doctor. Now I'm going to die. Fred's not going to have a father. Colleen's going to have to look after himself. Have to tell my mum and dad, the poor bastards, that their son's going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was pretty angry at the time. You know, it should have happened to someone else, not someone who's kind of quasi-healthy like me.
Yeah.
And I realised it was...
Take out Davo and Steve, fuck them.
I was thinking that in my mind.
Yeah.
Should happen to Davo, probably. He does.
Not anyone in particular. I was just angry.
Yeah.
Angry. See someone
Cool.
on the street having a cigar, you bastard. And then and I realised, fuck, this is no good. If I'm going to get through this, you know, I need to set some goals to be living at a certain time. I need to not be angry. I knew about this thing called gratitude, and that was supposed to be good for you. So I started to think, oh, what can I be happy for?
Yep.
And I went, oh, well, at least I live in Australia and I can get some kind of treatment for this. And you know, if I was in the US, I'd be bankrupt because you'd have to pay for it. If I was in some other country where the treatment's not even available, what would you do? You know, so how lucky am I for that? And then,
Yeah.
then the ENT surgeon who's looking at us, geez, lucky they didn't just flake off and do whatever. They went to university and studied hard and became a smart person, and you can find, you know, something to be grateful for in everything. And it almost got ridiculous. Like I was, you know, so happy and grateful for all of these people doing these things, and you know, really helped me get through the 7 weeks of radiation treatment 5 times a week and
Yep.
chemo once a week. And even when, like, on the 4th week, the chemo I didn't handle very well. And on the 4th week, I went back in, had chemo, went back into hospital that night. It's like, oh yeah, temperatures are 40 degrees again.
Yep.
And, you know, and every time I fell asleep, my blood pressure would go down to almost no blood pressure, and they put lines in here so they could constantly monitor my pressure, and a direct line into the vein in my neck to pump into my heart adrenaline so they could just tweak it up and down to adjust my blood pressure so I stayed alive, and was in intensive care for 2 days. And I'm like, I was still just super positive and happy, and it's like, how good is this? You get a nurse, it's their job to watch you, and your pulse goes down, they tweak the machine a little bit, goes up, they turn it back down. And the day,
pricked up there.
you know, it's just the treatment. Yeah, sometimes our guys, Davo, not just all the ladies.
Steve said it. I was just thinking.
Yeah.
Sorry, Davo.
But it was, I was just, you know,
get
how
some
lucky is this? So I was pretty, yeah, it was good, and got through it. It was kind of difficult, but just, you know, with that gratitude thing, and there's,
Do you think
it's
it's
all good.
obviously a positive attitude when you're sick? Like I know for being sick myself when I was, you know,
Yeah,
it definitely helps. Like
or even every time you get a little bit down, just think, oh, hang on a minute,
could
that
be
gratitude thing's supposed to be good. Okay, what's 3 things I'm happy with? Oh, sun's out today. Suppose that's good.
yeah,
Keep doing that. Eventually, you're kind of like, oh, how cool's that? Hey, shit, they're here interviewing me. Someone might even be listening. How cool's that?
So from being diagnosed initially to you're in full remission now.
Well, they don't really say anything, you know, they just keep going for checkups every 3 months and they go, okay, we'll see you again. They don't sort of say, oh, it's all gone now. I mean, there's no sign of it now.
Yeah.
But they don't, I guess statistically, they're like, well, we're not going to say you're clear of cancer until 5 years after your treatment.
Yeah.
And
that was how many years ago now?
It's almost 2 years
Okay.
now. So one of my goals is to give blood again. So you can't give blood for 5 years after you've had chemotherapy. So, you know, I'm looking forward to that first time I get to give blood.
Yeah, I give every fortnight actually. So yeah.
Yeah, cool.
And that's from having the medical issues myself too.
Yeah.
And then after a while, I just went, you know what? You know, I needed that blood when I was sick. So, and you know, I initially started it through. I had high irons.
Yeah.
And it was to clear that up.
That'd be good.
Yeah. So, but it was to level my system up.
Right. Do you still have high irons?
No, it was due to pain meds that I had for like my knees and things like that, and it was throwing all the levels out. So hopefully that's pretty standard now. So
cool.
But it's good to like give blood and give regularly, I reckon.
Yeah, I'm obsessed about food and nutrition, and so like I'm sitting here thinking, if you have high iron in your blood, what you do is if you're having something with like a steak or something, like you have an egg with it, and apparently if you have an egg with your steak, you don't absorb as much as the iron. And conversely, if you're low in iron, if you're having a steak, don't have the egg at the same time.
Okay.
I'm obsessed about food and nutrition and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, you're saying about nutrition and stuff. You've changed your career just recently.
Yeah.
From being a plumber to what do you do now?
I work at a market garden in Dennington, you know, which is Warrnambool.
Yep.
We grow, harvest, weed, look after vegetables for the local market, or it's on an organic farm.
Yeah,
it's all done organically.
Love it.
Yeah, it's great fun.
There's some of the produce.
Got some nice cucumber here. I'm not sure if this came from my garden or from work.
Yep.
It's both.
That's cool. And also you were a bit of...
Some?
I hate cucumber.
I love
I'm always gagging watching you eat it.
These are good carrots.
You also
like carrot?
What's it?
You also did a lot of baking too, didn't you, at some stage?
Oh yeah. I get a little bit obsessed about things and a bit competitive. So I one stage, sometimes I go to work and as a plumber and you're doing jobs for old ladies, and part of your role really is just to talk to them because they don't see people. And you're fixing up their gas heater or something and you're like, oh yeah, so how do you make really good scones? And you find out from there, oh, well, I do this and that. And then I was like, okay, I'm going in the Warrnambool show and trying to make the best scone I possibly can. So, I practiced as much as I could. There was scones all over, chucked out in the backyard, and ended up coming second at the Warrnambool show.
Did you have a particular scone that you liked?
Plain scone.
Plain scone?
Just traditionalist.
Yep.
And I don't do the cream lemonade and self-raising flour version. I'm just
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I do. You gotta mix the butter into the flour.
Yeah.
A bit of milk. Traditional kind of style, I think. The other way is cheating, really.
Yeah. It's like it's like an in thing with the scone makers. Is there it's like?
Oh, I don't think anyone else has.
It's like wearing a wrapper or something like that.
I don't think anyone else has that.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So second place in Warrnambool show.
What year was that, Luke?
Oh, maybe. Let's call it 2010.
Yeah.
You said you're pretty competitive. Who got first? And you're like, how am I going to?
Can't remember exactly.
He's buried in the
Were
backyard.
they using the lemonade? Or was that their steroids for scones?
I don't know. Well, I don't think. Yeah, I think you'd notice a difference. It wouldn't be as good.
He hasn't been seen since that place.
The next week I went to the Port Fairy show. I thought, I'm pretty good at this. Maybe I'll go to Port Fairy, and there was a men's only scone competition, and I thought I'll shit this in. I didn't even place. Competition was tough.
Well,
in Port
You're
Fairy
waiting for those
scones.
like, over 45. And
Yes,
you just
exactly.
scrape through again.
The men's
Actually,
only
scones would be young, under 45.
Yeah.
over 48 and a half section of scone making. This year,
Luke's on the scone
this year I'm
board.
going to try and grow the best carrots at the show.
Okay.
That's my next challenge.
And like, do they go on like size?
Well,
shape,
I don't know. I'm trying to work that out.
taste.
I
Size
think it,
doesn't matter, Steve, yeah.
yeah. I think it's the
That's what I tell
taste.
people.
I think it's taste and colour they're looking for
Yeah.
in
Texture,
a good
oh.
carrot.
Oh, with carrot. I thought you were talking about scones again.
Yeah, now we're onto the carrots now, growing the perfect carrots.
Oh, that's cool. Well, I don't have many more questions really. I mean, obviously, is there anything that you haven't touched on, or any photos or things like that you want to?
Touch on your hot face, Steve. You must be getting sunburnt. Like
Very, very hot
hot
under
out
the
here.
sun. No, I know that.
Are we running out of time? What photos have I got?
We can. I'm sure we can have a look at a few photos from back in the day, and you can explain what.
Davo bought some nice photos of kind of like just Vermont and stuff.
Yeah, pass them,
Look at that nice flash photo.
Is it you or Justin Bacchitis again?
Yeah, that's Luke.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Luke on the Joe Johnson.
It's a decent height air too. From
Yeah.
back then.
Yeah, that's me with the full helmet. And like here's another one of me doing the classic frontside rock.
You've always been a fan
Online.
of the full helmet too, haven't you? Like,
Yeah,
so-
I I like to do something a little bit different. These are nice photos, Davo. Bit of a fast plant.
Just are any of these tricks you don't do anymore?
It's,
Just sort of do fast plans.
Yeah, all of these tricks here. I mean, I learnt tricks the first 5 times I did it, first 5 years. I don't really learn any new tricks.
you were the reason I actually learnt fast plan select. So, and then I actually got. It was one of my favourite tricks.
I think this is up at Arraganu, Davo.
firewalking.
We had our own sort of
Hasn't
fireworks
really aged much.
ceremony.
No.
Yeah, well that helps. If you go bald early, doesn't seem like you age that much because you're just still bald.
On that, I've got a story about Luke. So Luke's brother Martin's a big fisherman, and one night off the beach he caught a shark, like about that big, and
I'm just going to
fishing fever set in, and he wanted to get some bait out further and get a bigger shark. So it was he had the head of the shark, and he sent Luke out at dusk on the lilo with the shark head on the lilo and connected to a line, paddled like right out the back. It's like prime shark time and territory and everything. So, geez, got a fair way out. He's dumps the shark head, and then on the way back in there was a shipwreck with a rusty bit of the boat stuck out. And I'm like,
yeah.
and you caught a wave.
Caught this wave on the lilo. Oh yeah, I caught the wave.
Well, I don't think you can see the shipwreck. It was getting dark by then. Oh, he's going to hit. He's going to hit. He's going to hit it. And then I've never seen anyone manoeuvre a lilo. Just dug the pillow in and swerved around this thing. She nearly died.
Yeah, you can be lucky. You can be lucky.
Lucky Luke.
Every
Lucky
year you used to
Luke.
get on the lilo for at Tent City too, didn't you?
Yeah.
You were the brave or silly soul that would get in there when it was freezing cold, snow on the sides, and do the polar dip.
Yes.
So,
Good fun.
yeah.
Showing off
Yeah.
is fun, and it's the easiest way to show us is to try and find something that no one else is doing. Like not many people are trying to make great scones, so there's a competition I could maybe win.
Well, I don't think anyone's going to begrudge you for being good in competitions, Luke. Like you've done incredible in the skate scene,
Oh, thanks, man.
and the scone scene you've taken by storm too. So,
Yeah.
but it's
Here's a great shot of Davo's ramp in the backyard. There's no one skating it, but it just shows you how good it is. And
I love
here's
that photo.
a frontside air on Davo's ramp of myself back in the day. Davo was pretty good on the photographs. They seemed to get him in focus and not cut half stuff
good
out
picture
most of the time.
Davo's ramp too, next to the pool.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah,
backyard ramps.
Dad would come out. He'd hear it. Jesus.
Yeah.
Pool.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Look at this.
there's plenty of great photos in there. Well,
This is the old Paran ramp.
that was the tin one, wasn't it?
Yeah. Notice the hand plant that is. Not on top of the ramp,
Give me a look.
not on top of the ramp,
Angled out, yeah.
just
Wearing a novelty.
guiding yourself around.
But were you wearing
good
a
fun.
novelty glove and there was a doll with a head on it?
I've got a glove on, haven't I?
Remember you had a
What was this?
glove
There is.
with a little doll on it and it had a head and your fingers became its leg.
It is too.
At some point you were skating with that. And
What was that all about, Luke?
I can remember it. I don't know, it was just something.
Yeah, so it was like a doll on your glove.
But it was like a finger puppet thing, so your fingers became the legs. So it's like, I could wear that
Find
skateboarding.
something no one else is doing and do it.
Yeah.
No one was doing the
Oh yeah, totally.
glove hand thing back then.
No. Awesome. All right, well, that's about the end of the questions that I've organised. So if there's anything,
Well, thanks for having us.
no, it's all.
It's been
Thanks for chatting about your life. Thanks, Dave.
it's
too.
good. I hope there was
yeah.
something interesting in there
That was very interesting.
for someone. I found it fun.
Heaps of things that I didn't know, and I've known you most of my life. So it's,
Yeah.
you know, it's really good. But also thanks to Connor and Tim and Aaron
Yeah,
for
thanks,
doing all
guys.
this. And yeah,
Thanks, Davo, for coming in and helping flesh out all those stories from back then. Yeah, it's hard to remember yourself, and thanks for getting me into skateboarding in the first place, and getting yourself into skateboarding and me, and you know, we're still here now.
And what about your future, Luke? What's your future goals or
Future goals?
short-term goals?
Over 55.
Well, yeah, well, maybe
Got to get it going again. 'Cause
after giving blood in 3.5 years, there's what is there? Skate as long as or as old as Animal Chin. Is it the 62 or 63-year-old skater?
yeah, 63. I think.
63-year-old skater, Animal
time.
Chin. So yeah, that's another goal.
And we know you can grow the Fu Manchu beard too. You had that when you were younger.
Yeah, I haven't got any beard goals at the moment.
It goals.
I'd like something I'm thinking about at the moment is I'd like to plant 10,000 trees.
Cool.
Not sure how exactly I'm going to do it. I'm doing a horticulture course at TAFE at the moment, so I'm in a good spot to be learning how to do that. I want to get some more trees in the ground, suck up some carbon.
Yep.
Yeah, I like trees. I love trees.
Yeah.
Really love them.
So yeah, it can keep the environmental
Yeah,
awareness and issues going. Hey,
yeah.
that's awesome. It's really good. Oh, well, thanks again, Luke. And yeah,
Cool.
cheers, Davo. I think that's about it, isn't it?
It's a wrap.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Yeah, have a good day.